You know, sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, cause so many things that go against us. But it's something inside our spirit that just keep us marching forward. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright.
Once I started following you, bro, and I was like seeing your background and everything that you did, I was just like, yo, this is kind of crazy. So like, I really wanted to give you the platform to just like tell your story. I know you come from Delaware, moved to Atlanta to chase your dreams, but I just want you to go back. Like, a lot of people might see you be with Queen Naija and your family, but like, I think your skill set and like what you bring as a creative, like, it's so valuable. So like, I just want you to be able to like just pop your stuff a little bit, bro, and tell the people about yourself. So,
bro, every time somebody tell me to pop my stuff, I be want to be modest.
No, you can't.
But like, I feel like so definitely Queen and Clarence, working with them, that's like something that like I low key manifested in a sense, because I started all of this because I was inspired by them, DDG, all these different people, and I'm like, I could do what they doing, and then it just kind of flowed from there. Like, if I always say, like, if I didn't move to like Delaware, because I'm from Jersey, so if I didn't move to Delaware, I don't know where I would be right now, to be honest. Like, there is no telling what I would be, what environments I would be in and stuff like that. So Delaware really like allowed me to grow in like my gift or my purpose, I would say, because it was a point in time where like I was doing YouTube, and then I feel like graphics kind of gave me even more of a platform than YouTube ever did. And the crazy thing, the reason I say that is because YouTube, it's like, okay, everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody's trying to come up on their channel. And I actually went pretty far with my channel. I almost had like 100K subs. I had like 50, I have on my channel like 50,000 subs. And they're active right now, but during that time period, I had like a wave check at my high school that had like, that's currently at like 2 million views. And then like the seed of working with Queen and Clarence kind of formed from my YouTube channel, because I posted a video. Do you know Peace on the Streets? Have you heard of that in Delaware?
No, I haven't.
So I had basically went there, and this is as I'm like growing my YouTube channel in summer of like 2018. Okay. And so I had basically went there, and then Queen and Clarence, they were there. Queen was performing. This was like one of her first performances. This is during the hype of like them getting together and stuff. And I just was like, I'm a vlog, and unintentionally, not like, oh, I'm a vlog and I'm gonna put this out and stuff like that. It just kind of all happened. Once I had went back home, I had uploaded the video, and then I accidentally let it go public, and that like shot up to like 100K views like within like 48 hours. So like my channel was growing, all this stuff, everything was going well. And then I had like a mark where everything started to slow down because I started to go through like a depression phase. So with that depression phase, I'm like, okay, how can I pivot? Because I know I don't want to be in front of the camera no more. But I also know that like, with that being said, I know that I don't want to stop doing this. So like, what can I do to still be a part of it? So my mind instantly went to like thumbnails, YouTube thumbnails. And I was like, I'm interested in learning graphics and stuff. I started working like every single day, like 365 days. I ain't take no breaks, like just practicing. Like, my work was trash in the beginning, and I knew it. But with that being said, I was just like, I'm gonna keep going with this because there's no other way out. Like, I know I don't want to stop being a part of YouTube. So now, instead of me being in front of the camera, I'm gonna work behind the scenes. And it just all went from there.
That's crazy. So like, when you went to the Peace on the Streets, did you know that Queen Naija was going to be there?
Yeah, so I knew she was going to be there. I supported them, like their YouTube channels and stuff. So like, I was always seeing it. I was only like 15 or 16 then, and I'm like 21 now. So like, to see everything just kind of form, like now having to actually like bond with them and stuff like that, it's like the 60-year-old version of myself would be geeked.
Do you still like watch YouTube? Like, do you still watch people on YouTube?
Yeah, I still be tapped in. Now I pretty much be watching like Ron Doug. I'll be watching Kaya Monique. And my podcast like host, they also put me on to, you know, Kaya and stuff. I watch Quan. I really be watching people that like I aspire to be. You feel what I'm saying?
Is it like lifestyle content?
More so like lifestyle content. And then on the most part, being that Queen, so she actually, our business relationship has progressed. So like, instead of me only, it went from me doing her thumbnails, because at first she turned me down. Like, when I first did her thumbnails, she was like, you got to get better. And that's when I was like, dang, I really gotta get better.
I would be interested in seeing what you submitted to.
Nah, I gotta show you. That junk was trash looking back. I was like, nah, I'm glad she turned me down at that point. She was like, yeah, I'm gonna just go to the other designer. So then the opportunity came back around. Now I started working on her thumbnails. Then around like the time of like her 25th birthday or so, I had edited like a YouTube video. Yeah. After editing a YouTube video, I moved to Atlanta, and then like, you know, now I'm filming for them. I'm editing their vlogs and all this stuff. And so like filming, I was a graphic designer. Like I don't know nothing about cameras, but she was like, hey, do you know how to vlog, or like, you know, are you willing to record me and stuff and become behind the scenes and catch content? I was like, yeah, like I'm down for sure. And now I'm doing all of that, filming for her, filming for, you know, the couples channel here and there, and then pretty much just editing videos and the thumbnails. And then also outside of them, just working with like other creators. Like I got a chance to work with like Deshae Frost, all these different content creators that like I literally was watching when I was 15, 16 in my room.
That's crazy that you say that, bro, because like for me, that era of YouTube feels like a fever dream.
Nah, for real.
Because, like, bro, it was a time period where, like, I got on, like, DDG and them late.
Yeah.
He was, like, my favorite person. I'm like, well, I was watching DDG for hours every day, bro. But a girl that I was dating at the time, she wanted to be an actress. So, like, she actually from Jersey, too. But, like, she was heavy on the YouTube and, like, I felt like she was using YouTube as her way in like to like the entertainment industry. Yeah. So like she said she wanted to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, just do it. Like I'm just that type of person. Like the people around me, if they want to do something, I'm like, what we gotta do? Like let's go for it. So as I start like filming her videos and stuff like that, I'm like, I was fronting. I'm from Philly, bro. So like in my head, I'm like, in Philly, it's not, certain things is like not cool.
Yeah,
like, when you grow up in a certain place.
Nah, for sure.
So I was fronting a little bit. I was actually like fighting against myself. Like in my head, I'm like, I love media. Like that's something that I love. But I was like, I can't act like I'm just doing this for her.
You're like, I'm just doing this for her.
And then the deeper I got into it, and she started like making me watch like the DDG, Queen Nada, and like telling me like their background and like how they got to where they are. I'm like, yo, this kind of fire. Like,
nah, for real. Because their story is not like an overnight success. Like, they really came out the mud with it.
And then when I saw, like, DDG's evolution, when he, like, started to do music, and then, like, he put his family on. So I'm watching Dub now. I'm watching, like, TT. Like, I'm watching, like, I'm watching his cousins. I'm like, yo, this
put his like, mom on, his dad, everybody.
Reality TV, bro. He, like, a regular person like us.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, filming his life. And one thing I admired about DDG is like he's a marketing savant, genius, but also like he just like I had this big fear when I started YouTube. I used to be like, how is he doing this in public? Like wherever he was going, he would just have his camera just like living his life. And I would be like, yo, he built different.
Not for real.
But he's one of those guys like of our generation, bro. I look at DDG as like, yo, he's a pioneer in like the YouTube and content creation space.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, like, from that era, who was some of like your favorite content creators, and like what are some of your favorite like social media platforms like over the years?
I would say definitely the pioneers of that time, like DDG, Queen, like they're like the two that really, especially in the music space, like they're the two that built a platform on YouTube, and then they both pivoted and like made another lane with music. And both of them were into music prior to YouTube. YouTube was just like the vehicle for both of them. Facts. So like I definitely like salute them. I'll be watching like Deshae Frost. Really a lot of the people that I watch is like people that I started to work with. Taylor Girls.
That's crazy.
Trey and Armand and Trey, like watching them. All of those content creators, like I was inspired by, because they're literally just living their life. Like they're living. I was doing pranks because I'm like, I could do this too. You know what I'm saying? Like I did a prank on my mom at like 16 when I couldn't curse, and like I was cursing around her, and she like got the belt and was like chasing me around the crib, or like just different pranks that I was doing. So watching those content creators, and then now I'm more so in a phase where like I'm in this young adult phase, like oh, like you're living in your 20s and you're trying to figure it out. So I'm inspired by like content creators like Ron Dug and just different content creators that do real lifestyle stuff where they're showing like you could have this, especially now at a time where like I'm looking for apartments and stuff. Like I'm watching the get ready with me's and clean with me videos of the guys, and like they sanitizing their house and all of that. Because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people really don't be deep cleaning their house.
Oh, bro.
And you could tell who don't and who do. Because it just be a bunch of stuff when you walk into a person's house. That's why you can't eat everywhere. Yeah, nah, the crib is mad clean. You did your thing. And it smell good. Like, some people, their cribs be crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, definitely I'll be watching, like, a lot of lifestyle content now.
So, speaking of pivoting, like, I feel like I never realized how similar, like, our journeys are. But I noticed when I did my research, like, on your YouTube channel, you started off doing pranks and stuff, like, as you alluded to. And then now you exist in this space where, like, I can see the maturity. Like, even watching y'all podcast, like the Growing Pain podcast, like, all of y'all are so young, but y'all have so much wisdom. So I just want to ask you, like, could you explain, like, that maturation process with, like, your content creation? And then, like, what was your moment where you're like, this is the direction that I want to go into?
Really, that depression phase, because I was going through that from like 2019 all the way up until, I would say, at least last year for real, at the top of the year. And I didn't even realize I was still going through it then. But really, those like growing periods or growing pains during that time was really forming me into a different person, because I wasn't in front of the camera. I didn't have to show up as anybody else. Like, I literally, from like 2019 to like 2020, I like took a break from social media. Like, it was like barely any posts. It was real quiet during that season. A lot of people didn't know what I was doing, but actually during that time I was like building out Royalty Made It and like forming myself into a different person. I'm reading books. I knew I was depressed, but I also knew I wasn't gonna be there forever. I was just like, this is just a phase. Like, I'm having all these bad thoughts. I'm feeling like a dark cloud is living over me, but I'm like, how can I get out of this? And really, 2022, when I met like Yanni, when I met my friend Goni, when I met Jada, like, as I'm starting to meet them, it inspired me to like, all right, now if you want to hang around these people and stick in this, you know, if you want to stick in this group, this friend group, you have to also meet them where they are. You feel what I'm saying? So if at the time we were doing book clubs every Sunday. You can't just not read and show up and be like, oh, I don't got nothing to talk about. You feel me? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to read the book. I'm going to, you know, do what I need to do. And at the time, this may be a little funny, but my back was big during that whole depression phase. So, like, I was really going through it. Like, I was in the mud for real. Like,
if you don't mind me asking, like, what would you credit your depression to?
It was just a lot. Like, I really didn't have my dad in my life at that time. So, like, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize, like, dang, like, these are certain questions I want to ask. Like, I'm starting to have, like, a little bit of an identity crisis. Like, who am I in this moment? Who am I in this season? Like, who can I look up to as a man? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's pretty much what my depression phase alluded to. And just not realizing that also YouTube, the comments and stuff, before I would like let that get to me. So like every comment, I'm like 16 reading every single comment. And I'm consciously thinking, oh, this isn't bothering me, but subconsciously it's really bothering me. You get what I'm saying? So like it was just a mixture of emotions and feelings that like I had to get out of. And like I said, it was just really like a dark cloud during that phase. And I was just like, it's gonna go away eventually. You dig what I'm saying?
How did you work through that moment?
How did I work through that moment? It's bringing me to a bunch. I think during that time, the way that I worked through it was just one thing that Jim Rome had said before is like to let life touch you. And I think in that time, I was letting life touch me. Like I wasn't trying to fight the emotion. I was like, this is where I'm at. You feel me? Like I'm really feeling it, and I'm really not feeling like myself. I'm really waking up, and I'm like, dang. On a road trip, like I'm like, dang, like I wish I didn't at that time wake up. You know what I'm saying? And so during that time, like I just had to live through it and like really be like, this is where I'm at. I can't I can't run from it or anything. I just gotta live in it in that moment. Then over time, I just had to eventually take charge and like want to seek better. So there was a point in time where I was in it and I was like just going through it, and there was also a point in time where I'm like, all right, you got to get out of this if this is where you know you want to elevate to.
It's so crazy that you say that, because I feel like the timing that you were going through this, I was experiencing something similar, just in a different way, and it birthed Failing Forward. So like from that journey of being with that person that I just mentioned, I started doing YouTube too, and we like kind of started doing couple stuff. So we was doing, I think it's called mukbangs. That's what it's called. We was doing mukbangs, we doing vlogs, we doing all this stuff, and like the people around me was kind of like they was rocking with it. Like, yo, it's fire. Tell you like I'm supporting you, but I feel like my channel didn't really have like a niche. Like I was just trying a whole bunch of stuff and just trying to like see like what stuck and what people liked from me. And the vlogs, I noticed it would get like 100 views, 200 on a good video, 400 or 500. So you know, like organically, like for a regular person like you and myself, that's actually pretty good.
It is.
People outside of the YouTube space might look at it and be like, whatever. But if you can average 100, 200 views as a regular person just starting out, I think that's like solid.
That's real.
So I started doing like reactions to music because I love music. I love speaking about music and just like I love anything culture related. And I noticed that like I did a couple reactions, and then one of them I think I did a DDG album. This was like the most views I had got. It was like 10,000 or something like that. I was like, oh, snaps. Like, they like the reaction. So then, I think Kanye, Jesus is King album came out. I did that one. And this is the first time I'll say, like, I really, like, went viral. It was, like, 27,000 views.
That's hard.
So I was like, oh, snap. I'm looking at the comments every single day. People grinding me up. Some people saying good stuff. I didn't even care. I just was like, yo, this is crazy.
Bro, the comments can be vicious low-key sometimes. You know?
Especially when people don't agree with you or they just don't like you. Like,
word.
So I'm looking at all of that, and then I just was like, yo, I'm really like a YouTuber now. At this point, I had like over 1,500 subscribers, so a little over 1,000. And then I just was like, all right, I got the subscriber threshold. Now I just got to get the watch hours. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I just remember like one of my mentors. Because I went to Temple for undergrad, then I went to Penn for grad school.
Oh, you went to William Penn?
University of Penn.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's like I was living, like, two different lives.
Yeah.
Like, I had this life that I curated, like, professionally through my education. And then I had this life of, like, yo, I'm from Philly. So I still got, like, this rawness to me and, like, this, like... And how do I merge the two worlds and still, like, please everybody?
That's real.
And I was, like, really, like, struggling with that. I'm like, yo... If I do this person gonna say something. If I do that, this person gonna feel like this. And I found like it really drove me to like that identity crisis as well. Like,
for real.
Young, like just trying to like find myself. And I just remember one of my mentors, she commented on the vlog that I had posted on YouTube. And she was like, do you think that's a good reflection of like who you are? And in the vlog, me and my homies like we rapping, like we freestyling at the table. But you could visibly tell that we was like under the influence. So like,
I remember hearing this on your other episode.
So like, I didn't think nothing was wrong with it. And then I'm like asking a whole bunch of
20-year-olds, like we all in our 20s.
So I'm like, yo, y'all think something
like
wrong
they don't
with
know
this video?
either.
And they like,
no, like it look cool to me. Like,
why you think that?
And
I was like, I got this feedback that like, you know, they felt like this wasn't a good representation of me, and it started to make me like question myself. So where YouTube was like fun, it started to become like something I had to like think twice about. And eventually I just like stopped.
That's real.
And then I heard advice from like I don't know if you know the twins on YouTube that do the reactions.
Probably I've probably seen them before.
I forget their name, but I had reached out to them when a couple of my reactions went viral. And I was like asking them for like, I was like, I don't want to get trapped like doing reactions. When I do reactions, I get thousands of views. And then when I do a vlog, I get 100 or 200. And I was like, you know, what would y'all recommend? And they was like, you know, where you at in your journey? Like, they was like, you gotta like mix it up. Like, you gotta keep like putting out like vlogs. Like, if that's what you really want to do,
that's real.
Like, you gotta keep doing that because people are going to watch a reaction because it's attached to somebody's name. If you say Kanye and then react to the music, like, they're coming because of Kanye, not necessarily because of you. You know what I mean? So I appreciated them telling me that, and then I just was like factoring in their feedback and her advice, and I was just like, I need to just chill. And I was just like you, I didn't do nothing. So 2020's here, I'm in a pandemic, I'm sitting at home, and I'm like, yo, what do I want my brand to like say? Like, who do I want to be? Like, what do I want people to think about when they think of me? And I just thought about my life. I'm like, yo, to get to where I am today, it's literally been like just like overcoming failure after failure, like, and just never quitting, like not stopping. And I want to like give that message to other people. Like I love encouraging folks. Like I love like helping people reach their goals. And I love conversations like this where you can like really get to know a person and understand like what drives them towards success.
Yeah.
So I was like, the name just came to me like failing forward. I was like, I want to get into the podcast space. And this is like right when everybody started doing podcasts.
Yeah.
So like the only relevant podcast that I followed at the time was like Joe Budden. He was like the biggest.
Joe Budden go crazy.
This was like Gillian Wallow. They was like, I probably started before them.
Yeah.
Like before Gillian Wallow. Or if I didn't, it was probably, they probably wasn't even like 20, 30 episodes in.
Yeah.
So I seen when they set up was like totally different than what it is now. Before they doing vlogs and all that. So like, I was looking at all these like podcasts and I'm like, yo, this is an untapped space. Like I'm kind of early like in this. And then like, I feel like that's how I got to like where I am now.
Yeah,
but
for
when
sure.
you mentioned like going through like that depression and like that identity crisis, like I resonate with that. Like,
nah, for sure. Bro, that just opened up so many areas of my life during that time period, because that's also was a thing. So like a transparent moment, one of the things that people started negatively commenting on, this was a time where I wasn't paying attention. I did a wave check with no waves. And then also I had the audacity to be sitting up there with a bad like cut.
Yeah.
So like my cut was crazy. Like I was letting the barber, like, you know, our hairline, like for our twist and like our braids start right here. My jump was back here at the time. And that was because he kept cutting it more and more. So like one time, I think it was like the first wave check, I think I had my hair out.
Yeah.
Second one, my junk was, my braids, I had like some straight back braids. And then that's when my junk started right here. They went crazy in the comments like, bro, why is your hairline back here? All this different stuff. And then just like during that time period, it was like so much going on. Like the wave checks I started to not want to do.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, I don't have waves. Like there's nothing I could do. I started getting brand deals and I was like, I don't know how to accept a brand deal or anything. So it was just so much that I was learning at that time that at this point now I know how to deal with it better. And back then I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to accept a brand deal. I didn't know like, oh, you're not supposed to be sitting there just reading comment after comment as they come in, because it's subconsciously messing with you even if you say it's not. So like there was so much that I learned, and I think that's what alluded to my identity crisis as well, because it started to be like, okay, I'm doing pranks, I'm doing a reaction one day, I'm doing a vlog, and I'm also now I got this wave check, and this is like the biggest video, and then now I have this another video where like people, they see Queen and I'm at her shows and they're like, oh, I want to see more content of Queen, but I'm like, oh,
that's
wait,
how it starts.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait, this is not her channel, you know what I'm saying? And even like the wave checks, I'm like, wait, I don't have waves, like I'm not about to sit here and do like a bunch of, like, so many people was reacting to those videos. I think his name is like Sir Cruz or something like that, but he reacted to my video. Like another person, DDG, he had commented on the video, and that's when I got my DDG bag. When he had commented, he was like, bro, you don't got no ads on the video, your video is shooting up with like 1,000 views
he
per.
Said that to you?
Yeah, he commented on the video.
That's
he was like, you don't have no ads in your videos going up. And the fact that he even seen it on his homepage, I'm like, oh, like that's different. But one thing that I learned during that time period is like learning how to manage. If I would have managed better, like who knows where the channel would have been at that time. But it also taught me like, who knows where you would be right now with not taking that channel. Well, you know where you are right now with not taking that path that you should have taken, because it taught me so much. It taught me like resilience. It taught me to like be able to reinvent myself in different ways and stuff like that. So like having that down period taught me so much than it could have taught me if I was just like up in the clouds with my career.
You know what's crazy though, bro? Like listening to you, it makes me think about like if your mind wasn't as strong as it is, like just think of like the impacts of social media on our generation, bro.
Yeah.
Like I went to one of Neo's events the other day, Circle of CEOs this past Thursday, and I just randomly started having a conversation with this lady, and she told me like she worked in like Botox and all this stuff, and like
crazy.
She like give people like lip fillers and BBLs, like all of the things, and I just was like, how you feel about that? Because she was saying like she didn't align with it, like she didn't agree with it, and I was like, well, why are you like working here? And she was like, basically through working there, she tries to like remind women of like their self-worth and like let them know like you're beautiful, like you don't need to necessarily go down this route. But I feel like when I look at social media now, bro, like especially Instagram, and I think that's why a lot of people feel like Instagram is not fun right now, is that like people are literally chasing perfection, bro.
For sure.
And I feel like I see it more so with the women and like the girls, where it's like everything looks like so done up, bro.
Yeah.
Like everything is like, and it's reaching younger kids. That's the part that's scary. Like you see younger girls now, younger boys, they get hairstyles and dressing like grown women. Like
for sure.
There's no distinction.
Nah,
and
for
I feel
sure.
like people really feel like this sense of like pressure of like, if I don't got this or if I don't look like this for the gram, like I'm not worth anything, or like my life is like meaningless. So I just want you to talk through like what's your thoughts on like the state of social media and its impact on like young people.
My thoughts on the state of social media is a place of like highlights. It's a highlight reel of whatever is going perfect in your life, because oftentimes when we are going through like our toughest times, we not on social media showing every single moment. But if our money is up, if we traveling, we taking mad pictures, we posting every second on the story, you feel me? But in those times when it's like really you're going through like a rock in a hard place, it's like you don't want to post about those moments. And so that's why even in my vlog, like in my most recent vlog, I had just my hair out like in an afro, because I'm like, who cares what I look like? Like, I know I don't always look like how I look on the podcast or every picture I post. So I'm going to show you, so that way, if you see me out in public and I look crazy, you're not surprised. Like, that even reminds me of, do you know Jada Chavez? Like, she be done up and stuff, and like, she be doing her thing. But it was a point in time where like she was just dressed down. She took a picture, and it was like a wow factor, like shock value when people seeing her just in her natural state. And it's like, that's who she is.
That's real life.
She's not laying down with a face full of makeup or her hair done up. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like, I've seen that within my family. I've seen that within just every aspect of life, that it's not perfect all the time. And so like, I can sometimes live in a moment where like I catch myself comparing, because we're just human.
We all do.
We adapt to that sometimes. Like comparing ourselves. Like I've compared myself with not having a place soon as I moved out here, and like, you know, just not having certain things that I would desire for myself right away. I've compared myself to like seeing like, somebody that's also 21, or somebody that's also at whatever age I am right now is doing this, and I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? But I realized like, bro, their journey is way different from your journey, and there's certain things that you got to learn, and certain tests that God puts you through that allows you to test your character. If I would have had everything that I would have had, if my money was up when I started YouTube from the beginning, I would have blew it all. You know what I'm saying? If I was a millionaire as a YouTuber right away, I would have blew it all then. And also I could say, saying what I'm saying right now can sometimes be a place of comfort. Sometimes we may neglect or say we don't need the things, or we don't desire the things that we really desire as a way to comfort ourselves that we haven't got there yet. But in those moments, it's like you have to hold yourself accountable and realize that like, this is where I am, this is my journey, and also I'm the common denominator in every aspect of my life. So if I'm not exactly where I am, I have to look within and see what is going on in my, you know, paradigm, seeing like, where am I at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where am I lacking, or where can I improve? And so back to social media just really isn't a place to compare yourself to, because it's just everybody showing the best parts of their life, and it's not really something that they can necessarily continue to like upkeep. Like most people can't upkeep the life that they live on social media.
They can't even upkeep the lives they live here in Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you can't really compare yourself to that. And wanting to be perfect is just, it isn't ideal. Like you're never gonna be perfect. You can strive to be the best version of yourself, but you'll never be at a point where like everything is perfect. If you got money, there may be some problems. If you don't got money, it's still gonna be some problems. So either way, you just gotta look at it as like, you roll with the punches in life. You feel me?
That line of thinking, bro, it literally like killed me in the early half of my 20s. Like literally like looking at social media and feeling like I should have certain things, or I should be in certain places. Like everybody around me right now, bro, and that I like came up with is like making like 6 figures. I still ain't get there yet.
Me too.
Like I still ain't get to that point yet. And when I was younger, I used to look at people and be like, damn, like out of all my friends, I went to an Ivy League. And I graduated from college and I'm still not there. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I'm seeing my friends like take trips or like being able to afford certain things. Even when we all moved here to Atlanta together. And in my heart, I could be wrong. I never got clarity on it. Like, I feel like that's why I lost certain friends, because I wasn't at that level yet.
Nah, for real.
And just being honest, bro, I wasn't even at the level to where I could afford a membership at LA Fitness, bro.
Crazy. That's
like,
crazy.
When I first moved out here, I saved up enough money during the pandemic just so I could get to Atlanta and like situate myself. I'm not coming from a rich family, bro. Like, I'm the first generation in my family to do almost every single thing. So I'm proud of myself. I'm like, I got a master's degree at 25. Granted, I'm not making the money that I want to be making yet, but like, look at everything I've done. Like,
nah, for sure.
I should be proud of myself. But this constant state of like pressure that we live in due to social media and sometimes just due to ourselves, like, it really like sent me into like a dark place, bro. And like, I just remember, I'm glad that you brought up God, because when you were talking, I was just like, I want to mention God, but I don't want to be corny.
Yeah, I don't think I used to be that person too, and I sometimes still struggle with that. Yeah. Like wanting to mention God, but I'm like, is this the time and place? Does this person? It's
always the time.
You know what I'm saying? It's always the time and place, because God never neglects you or not pick up when you call him or call on him. You feel me? So like, it's always the time and place to mention God.
Facts. And I just remember like, when my grandma was alive, I sat on her bed one day, and I just was telling her, like, yo, grandma, I'm like, I accomplished so much, and I feel like I'm still, like, a failure, like, because I'm not making the money that my friends have, or, like, I can't take all the trips that they go on, or whatever the case may be. And I just remember her telling me the race is not to the swift, but to he who endureth it all. And for me, you see Nipsey right there, bro. Like, for some reason, it just reminded me of like the marathon continues. Like, that's all I thought about. Like, the race is not to the swift, but to he who endureth it all. So like, on this journey
crazy.
And on your road to success, like, it's gonna be so many roadblocks. It's gonna be so many obstacles. It's gonna be like uphill battles that you gotta overcome. And it's like, as long as you can endure all of those things on your journey, at the end, you'll reap the benefit and the reward that God has for you. So it was something about when my grandma said that to me. It was like real comforting to me. So I know for myself, bro, like, not only do like mentorship from like good people, but also like my faith in God, that's been something that's allowed me to like stay grounded in the midst of like all the noise and like all the busyness that could accompany just like living in Atlanta and being in this social media world. So I just want to ask you, like, what are your anchors? Like, what are the things that like keep you grounded as you navigate all of this?
I think you asked me that at Bolero that one time when we had first met. I think the things that keep me grounded is realizing that I don't need everything. As far as, I've had, the stuff everything that I could have wanted at a young age. So like every pair of sneakers that I wanted, or every single like event that I wanted to go to, or even just like the most profound thing, or I won't say most profound, I'm going crazy. But like, I was about to say violent. Like, I remember
you about to say meet and Queen?
No. Oh. I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say, I remember when the hoverboards started going crazy. Yeah, I don't know why I say profound. Like, that was crazy. Like, you're wild. But I remember
one of those so bad. Though.
Nah, for real. But when those were like hot, like my stepdad had got those for me and my stepbrother. Like when everybody wanted them. So like I was getting everything at a young age when I wanted it. And so now it's like I already had that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already know what it's like to have money, and I'm not saying my family was like the richest people. They just really worked hard to like get where we wanted. Like I've lived on in Jersey where I couldn't go outside and there were shootings on the block. And when I moved to Delaware, that's why I say like there's no telling where I would have been if I didn't move, because once I moved to Delaware, I was able to experience a whole new aspect of my childhood. You know what I'm saying? I was able to actually go outside and hang out with friends and stuff. And so what you say, like, the anchors that keeps me like grounded is my family. And like my granddad, he used to talk to me, or he still to this day talks to me as if like I'm one of his friends, or like he never talked to me like as if I was a baby or anything. So he would have full blown conversations about life and all this stuff as I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old. And like my grandma, like I grew up around adults. So I was able to like, my mind was growing at a faster pace than I was, you know what I'm saying? So
it's making more sense now.
Yeah, so like that's why I would say those things, like I would say that's why I have like those anchors. Like my grandma, she's taught me like, if you, as long as you got a pair of shoes, you know what I'm saying? And as long as you have a pair of shoes and clothes on your back, you're good. She told me like there was a point in time where she had to make her shoes to walk to school. So I'm like, dang, like if I could have 12 pairs of shoes, I'm good. And they all clean, they all work, they all go on my feet. Even my first car, it didn't have no air conditioner. The windows kept rolling down. But I was like, as long as I get the A to B, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? As long as the tires move, as long as I'm not sliding off the road, I'm cool. So like, that's what keeps me grounded. Like, that's what keeps me anchored. I know that like, as long as my mind is at peace, as long as I know that God like allows me to live the way that I live. So I'm forever grateful at every point in time where I am, because one thing that my youthship told me from my church is, she was like, you see where you are as far as like working with Queen and stuff. Like she was like, you see where you are. You already see what she has attained, and she still has things that she has to work through. And she was like, if you get everything that you want at 21 years old, what else do you have to live for? You get what I'm saying? Like, if you retire your mom, if you make a way for your brother, if you do all the things that you desire in your life, what else is there to live for? You feel me? And so that's why you have to live throughout the journey. And it's crazy that you brought up Nipsey, because like I had got a tattoo on my hand that said dedication, because I know that as long as I have the balls to start, the brains to learn, and the heart to never quit, like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta keep going. Like it's really that. And once you quit, that's when you lose. That's when you really really fell forward. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you really fell forward, once you quit. And so like that's my anchor, is learning understanding that I have a family that support me. I have friends that support me. I have my mind, like my sanity, my peace. I have God, like that has, great dominion over me and all of that stuff. So like I'm good. Like there's nothing else to really want.
That's what I wanted to hear, bro. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, like that's really all it is. Like I feel like every time I do get overwhelmed and I do stress, I'm like, bro, like remember what you got. Like there's people, I didn't go to college, so there's people in my friend group from back home, and they're in college, and they also have worries. So it's like, pick your battle, pick your struggle. You're gonna have a struggle wherever you're at in life. You feel me?
Facts. That's big, bro, that you said that, and I hope like people like really like digest that. I'm trying to digest it while I'm trying to think of questions, but it's like that's gonna be one. I'm gonna go back to that. Like, damn, he was spitting right there. Like, I just want to shout out to all the grandparents, bro. Because,
for sure.
That wisdom and that realism, bro. I would say that's like a lot of the things that have like saved my life, bro. My grandma, she's watching down on us right now. Record this, but like, I'm still living off of things that she's instilled in me in my life, and I'm just so grateful, and I'm like honored, like that I had a praying grandmother, a grandmother that believed in God, because it's a lot of people making money out here in Atlanta, bro, and it's a lot of people making money everywhere that don't serve God. They don't even know God. Yeah, it's kind of like soulless, and I just don't want to like sell my soul. So I look at my journey as like it was supposed to be different. Yeah, like I have moments all the time where I'd be like, yo, I might not be where I want to be or think I deserve to be, but every single year I done made more money.
For sure.
10,000 more than
you done made more progress.
I done made more progress. The idea that I had for Failing Forward back in 2020, like it's expanded. It's become a real thing, a recognizable thing that people know me for. I get people like you. Yeah. Ended up at Neo Mansion last night. So it's like, I'm doing something, right? Yeah. And I think the biggest thing I caught from what you said, bro, is like, pick your struggle. Like,
for sure.
We all got battles, and like, even the people that we look up to, like you just alluded to Queen, they got issues too, and things that they navigate that like we might never know. But it's just to say that like you just gotta be able to endure, and you gotta have those anchors to be able to propel you when you feel like, I mean, sometimes you can feel like there's nothing to live for, or not a reason to give up, or whatever the case may be. So.
Am I able to say something about the grandparents though? Yeah. Like one thing that really shakes me up, because I still have like my grandparents, my great granddad, and then like my mom's mom, and then her husband, my grandpa. And like My biggest fear is just like I be praying like God, like just let me be able to show them like what they instilled in me really worked, and that'd be like something that really like mind boggles me. So when you say like your grandma passed, it kind of just leaves me on edge a little because I'm just like dang, like I know they're getting older and stuff like that. Like that's my biggest fear. So when I'm like lacking or like letting my fears overpower, I'm just like dang, like. Hurry up. You know what I'm saying?
Like me, bro, you just like me. Like my grandma, bro, like I'm the only boy like in my family, really like my immediate family. So like I wasn't raised by my mom and dad. I was raised by my grandmother and all my aunts. And I just remember like looking around as a kid, I'm like, yo, we poor. Like I knew we was poor, and I'm like, even the way that we live, like yo, we could be living like a lot better than this. Like, and I used to always tell my aunts when I was younger. After I saw ATL, I'm like, yo, I'm moving there. Like,
nah, for
as
sure.
a kid, like, I'm moving down south. Like, Philly's so dangerous, it's violent, whatever the case may be. And I just remember like my why was always my grandmother. Like, so like she developed cancer when I was in high school, and I just remember her always saying she had 5 girls. She just used to always be like, I just pray that one of my offspring, you know, I live long enough to see one of my offspring graduate from college.
Yeah.
And when I was in middle school, high school, bro, I was not like a college material kid. I think I had the potential, but I just was so much of a class clown and just finding myself.
Nah, we really the same, bro.
I was all over the place, bro.
Because who I am now, I was not like this in school. I was cutting up in school.
I bet. I believe it. And I just had to get there. I feel like I had a lot of people that like believed in me. I had a coach named Mr. Oslin. Shout out to Mr. O. But I remember him taking me on a college tour on a Saturday. He drove all the way from an area, you know, King of Prussia?
Yeah.
So he drove all the way from King of Prussia to where I live. And he like drove me to Rutgers. And I just remember that college tour, and I was like, all right, I could go to college possibly. I just want to hoop. Like if I could hoop in college, like cool. But once I got there, it's so funny how this happens, bro. Like with our grandparents and even our parents. Like once I got to campus and I was away from my family, all the things that they taught me over the years, it just was firing off in my brain, bro. I'm like, dang, my roommate kind of dirty. Like I wasn't raised like this.
That's
like,
crazy.
All the things, bro. Like my faith in God, like all of those things, I started to rely on like all the teachings that I got from my grandma. So like, I just remember whenever I would want to give up. Like I would always say, like my grandma, she wanted to see one of us graduate from school. And when I graduated from Temple, bro, my grandma, I knew she was sick. Like I knew that she was like, it was going to be a time like, all right, she probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
She was in and out of the hospital throughout my like senior year at Temple, and she came to my graduation at Temple, and she didn't get to see me walk across the stage. She like got there. She had like her defibrillator and all that, like the oxygen tanks. The mask on her face, and she always walked with it. And she was at my graduation. When I came out, I was so excited because I don't know where my family is in the crowd. Yeah. And everybody was like, your grandma in the hospital. And I'm just like delirious because I'm like, where's she at? Like, and they was like, she went to the hospital, but she okay. So I feel like everybody, half of my family that I saw that morning, like half of them wasn't there. So I'm trying to figure all this out. But my family did a great job of just like keeping me focused. And like we went to brunch, and
that's how my family is.
And it was like, all right. But after that, I went to Penn for grad school. And it's so funny. It's not funny, but my grandma used to always go to University of Penn hospital just because she was sick. So I went there for school. And I did my master's program there, the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And my grandma got to see that one during the pandemic. And it's so crazy, bro. Like, my grandma passed away September, October. She passed away 5 months after I graduated from Penn. And in my heart, bro, I really feel like my grandma held on long enough to see me, like, accomplish that. Yeah. Because, bro, my grandma battled cancer, like, I say, like, maybe 2 or 3 times. So, like, I feel like people that battle cancer, it's a mental journey, too. Yeah. Like, and I feel like some people are, like, mentally strong, and just having a strong spirit and a belief in something that might keep them alive. That's just my theory.
I believe that.
And my grandma was so mentally tough, bro, that like even when I was like a teenager, when she had cancer for the first time, I didn't even know. Like I remember her cutting her hair, and she dyed it blonde. So I'm just thinking like, oh, my grandma she just wanted to try something new. But that whole time I got older, I realized like, no, she actually was battling cancer, and she like was still providing for us, still doing stuff. So like, after I graduated from Penn, bro, it's the same thing. My grandma got the thing in her nose, the mask, and all of her machine. And I just remember her saying, like, you did it. Like, you prospered. Like, you know, the Lord is going to reward you for your efforts. And she was so excited. And I never drank alcohol in front of my grandma or even cursed or nothing like that. But I just grabbed a bottle of alcohol in 1942, and I was like, yeah, you did it. And my grandma just started laughing. She was so happy. And then, like, months later, she passed, bro. But in my heart, I feel like she held on long enough to see me, like I'm gonna see this, and I'm gonna enjoy this.
That's how most old folks is. Like, they're holding on for the younger.
They are, bro, for us. And I just feel like the fact that you let that drive you, as opposed to it's a bunch of things out here that could be motivators for you that's driving you. I think that's a really good thing. And I just know that your grandparents, they are already proud. Like, today and tomorrow, bro, you can never do whatever you think you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You already did it. So I would never want them, when that day comes, for you to feel like, damn, like, I didn't accomplish the mission. Because where you are right now, like, I had to start realizing that, bro. Like, that's one of the things that's really grounded me. Is like, I just tell myself, like, yo, I'm right in the middle of my dream. Like, when people say, like, you gotta fall in love with the process and the journey, like, bro, this is literally the dream. Like, I'm not trying to say this to, like, pipe your head up, bro, but, like, doing this with you, I'm literally serving my purpose. Like, I'm literally
for sure
exercising and walking in my purpose, and I feel happy. I feel fulfilled because this is what I feel like I was sent here to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, both of us, bro, we right in the middle of our dreams. We right in the middle of the things that God has for us. And I think it's important to sometimes just be in the moment and enjoy it. Like, damn,
for sure.
I remember this was just an idea in my head.
For sure.
And I'm literally, like, doing this right now on my own. I taught myself everything. I've had accomplishments. I've had great moments in this. Like, your grandma and granddad, they already proud, bro.
Yeah, they send it all the time. I literally just got a call from, like, same way you said, like, your grandmom, like, had 5 daughters. Like, I believe my grandmom and my granddad, they have 5 kids, 5 daughters, and then 1 son. If I'm not mistaken, if that's how the flow is. And yeah, so with that being said, that is actually how it is. Because one of the sisters I never met, and she passed, and then my great grandmom, she passed. Both of them passed before I was even born. My uncle, he passed before I was even born. So, like, like, same, it's crazy, like, our stories kind of align a little bit, because same way you say you grew up around, like, aunts and stuff like that, like, that's my whole story. Like, so it does, I can say, not too very far off from the last question that you mentioned, but, like, that definitely gives me, like, a sense of peace of, like, okay, just remember that this is all that you had prayed for and that you wanted, and you're living in it now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, everything else that you want to achieve, like, not to start slacking or anything, but it's like you are living in what you prayed for, and your grandparents, your family, everybody that you want to make proud or everybody that you want to serve, like, you already did it so far. So, and
it's just important to just stay humble and just have gratitude throughout the journey. Sure. Like, the gratitude is what really keep me going, bro. Like, some days I just wake up and, like, I look at my apartment and I just be like, I'm a long way from Philly. Yeah. Like, I remember times, like, just being in Philly, bro, being anxious, like, being depressed and not even knowing, like, what those words meant at the time, because we didn't have the language to describe those words when I was growing up. I'm making myself sound old, but
that was me with the whole YouTube thing. Like, that's where the identity crisis came in, because I was this one personality on camera, and then I was another personality. I won't say another personality, but I was one personality, a big, huge personality on camera, and then people are coming up to me like, do that thing that you did on the video, and I'm like, hold on, like, I'm starting to get a little anxious, but I didn't know the vocabulary for it, but I just know I had this feeling. So that definitely, I can agree, like, to everything that you're saying, for real.
For real, bro. So, like, I just remember, like, all those times and, like, those moments, and I'm like, I can actually take a walk now in my neighborhood with a stroller with my son.
That's real.
And, like, I don't gotta look over my shoulder. Like, I feel good. Like, we ain't struggling.
Nah, word. You don't gotta be ducking like Lil' Kim.
Yeah, thanks.
She be like,
we
good. Going crazy.
We good now. So it just be like, y'all be like, I'm living the dream. Like, and if it get greater than this, I'm grateful to God. But if it just remain like this, I'm gonna work hard. So it's gonna keep elevating. But I mean, like, we got big dreams. I know both of us, we want to be one of them ones. Like,
for sure.
I want to be hosting a party like Neo did.
Nah, for sure. I would say I want to be a household name.
Like, yeah. So, like, I'm just enjoying the process, bro. And I think that gratitude, that's what's really going to, like, be the difference and, like, set you apart. But, like, talking to you, you got all the keys, bro. Like, you got all the recipes for, like, success. So just keep the right people around you, bro. Stay grounded. Don't have no babies or nothing. Just, like,
Sometimes, okay, I can't lie about the kids. Sometimes I be thinking like, bro, in order for you to go harder, do you need like a kid or something to like really turn it? I be thinking like, if you got a kid, like now it's a responsibility to feed this kid. So like, I be thinking like, do you need a kid in order to really turn it up a little? Because what's going on?
No, that's not what you need to do it, bro. If you have one, that's a blessing, but you don't need that to get your grind on. You already work hard, bro, but you crazy.
Nah, I be thinking that. Like, that really be my motto. I be like, bro, I need a kid or something. Dude.
It's hard, bro. Like, being a dad, like, it's like, it's difficult. My friends always tell me, like, I make it look easy. But
you do. I'm not gonna lie. You really do. Like, not having a dad, I'd be like, bro, like, if I aspire, and I won't discredit anything that my stepdad did, because he played a major part in, like, my entrepreneur mindset and all of that stuff. So, like, I definitely appreciate him for even taking that role.
For sure.
But when it's a difference between like your, because he also experienced the same thing. Like he had said that you know stepped in, but it's a difference between like having a stepdad and like having your actual biological father. And so like when I think and see different people, and like when I see like you playing with your son, or even getting emotional on Instagram, like showing like how happy your son makes you. Like, that's, like, something that I'm like, dang, like, that's who I aspire to be when I'm a dad, or that's what I would have wanted in my dad. You dig what I'm saying?
Bro.
So, you're doing your thing, for sure.
Thank you, bro. And that's how I approach fatherhood. Like, I literally just look at my life and, like, what I didn't have, feelings I didn't get to experience, and I just be like, I never want my son to go in void of any of that.
Nah,
so,
for sure.
Obviously, I may not be able to be perfect or fill every gap. I know I'm going to make mistakes, but as long as I try and, like, the intention is there, I feel like that's the best I can do. But I love being a father, bro. Like, I want to lie to you. Like, it's like, when I look at him, it's like I'm parenting myself. And I just be looking, I'd be like, damn, this is what it was like, you know, like, when I was a kid. Let's say, like, me and Asia have a disagreement or an argument or something like that. I'd be like, damn, like, how would I feel if I watched my parents, like, argue or whatever the case may be? So it just be like, I'm real thoughtful, bro, and I just be like, I don't want to, like, give off any, like, generational trauma. I don't want to pass down anything like that. I don't want my son to have a childhood that he has to heal from. So I know what that requires in me. It requires me to, like, look within myself and be like, you got to address your flaws. You got to address your shortcomings as a person. And, like, in a lot of ways, you got to, like, grow and elevate to serve this young man, because he's looking at me as, like, his guide through the world. He's looking at me as, like, how he's going to cultivate himself as a person. So, like, when I look at him, bro, I just be like, yo, this is literally, like, myself as a kid, and I gotta get this right.
That's good. And that even reminds me that, like, it's possible for a child not to experience, like, trauma. Like, that just became a thought in my mind, because I'm thinking, like, oh, every kid, like, they're gonna go through some type of trauma. But I recently was watching, like, B. Simone podcast, and I don't want to butcher her name, but I think it's like Jilly something. Her last name is I don't know how to pronounce it. But her name is Jilly, and she was saying, like, her parents didn't have it, you know, her parents didn't have the picture perfect or, like, the ideal lifestyle of what it is, you know, with a 2-parent household. But they built that for her and her brother. And she was saying, like, she didn't go through childhood trauma. It wasn't up until, like, now where she's starting to experience, like, social media hate and stuff, like, that's her trauma. So I was like, oh, like, that's different that her parents provided that. And, like, that's kind of what you guys could be doing for your son. You feel me? Like, you could be really providing, like, a space where he gets to grow up and say, like, I didn't have to experience that. Like, my parents set the standard for me.
That's what I want, bro. Like, that'd be like a dream come true. Like, if I don't do nothing else in life, I just want my son to have a much better life than I ever had. And I think I'm off to a great start. But I also just don't want him to, like, have to heal from things that he saw either myself or his mom do. And I think, like, it requires a certain level of, like, reflection and accountability from parents to be like, you got to check yourself. For sure. Sometimes, like, you got to, like, I don't know, just be an adult. So
a lot of it be, like, ignorance or not knowing. And that's why we're doing the things that we're doing in front of kids and stuff. Like, things like, you know, parents saying, like, oh, because I said so, instead of explaining to the child,
Yes.
this is why you don't do this.
Yes.
This is why I don't want you to be out here with this person and that
Facts.
person. You dig what I'm saying? Not just, oh, because I said so. Because what does that teach the child? That
Right.
teaches them nothing. That just teaches them to be disobedient to your word. You dig what I'm
Facts.
saying? So it's like, really, a lot of trauma comes from not knowing
Yep.
right from wrong.
Yep.
Or you could know it, but you're not holding yourself accountable, like
Facts.
you said.
And in the black community, like, we just got this thing of like where we discipline first and like we explain later.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from because that's what we grew
That's
up.
what we were taught.
Yeah, that's what we were taught.
And I feel like the last few generations, like especially my generation, like our generation is like, no, like that's not the way. Like I'm not just
I was gonna say that.
profusely just beat my kid or smack
Yeah.
them or like call them out their name as a form of like discipline and saying it's like love. Like no, like I'm gonna actually like try to sit down and talk to you and like work through this situation with you. And I know that like some people not the biggest fans of what we call like gentle parenting, but
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I feel like I got balance, bro. I was raised by my grandma, so I still got a little bit of like, you know, like that authoritarian, but I mix it with our generation to be like, I just envision my parenting style being like let's talk. Like, what were you thinking? Like, what were you seeing as you navigated that situation and try to redirect the behavior to be like, okay, like I understand that, I could get with that, but this is the standard. And discipline as well, like you're gonna have chores, like you're gonna have things to do, like you're gonna know the value of like hard work and all those things. So like I be thinking about that a lot. And even now, bro,
Like,
kids
do
do
stuff
stuff all the time at all ages of the journey that you kind of be
sure.
like, what the heck? Like
Nah, for real.
but I even catch myself, I'm be like, I don't want to start this early.
Yeah.
Like I forget what had happened. It was like a reflex though, bro. I forget what my son did. So I just tapped his butt real quick. And there was like a love tap, like a little soft tap. But I caught myself, I was like, nah. Like I don't even want to like
Start that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, no. And Asia looked at me when I did it.
She was like, hold on.
She
Don't
didn't
touch my
say
son.
that. Yeah, like she didn't say that, but I caught that from her, kind of like, what the heck? You just hit his butt. So it was a moment. I never talked to her about it. When she watched this, she gonna be like, "Yep." Like,
And I remember. I think you said something on on your podcast about like you had a cousin that you were living with or something, and like his dad like whooped him, and you kind of I remember you mentioning that, and so it's like just being mindful of the act of like what you're doing, because a lot of parents they don't, and they don't realize how they're impacting their child, and they don't realize that they're adding on to the situation. Like for example, like if a young girl is like trying to be with her boyfriend and stuff, and all you're doing is hounding her about like how she can't be with her boyfriend, that's gonna make her want to be closer with the dude.
Too,
for sure. Or like beating a son because he's acting out. It's like you're not asking him why is he being aggressive. You're not asking him why is he acting out
so
and wanting to fight. You
crazy
feel
that
me?
because like when I was in high school, I remember I got in trouble for having like my grandma found condoms in the house, and I got in trouble. Like I really got in trouble, and in my mind I'm like, I don't even know what I'm getting in trouble for. Because like the sex ed people literally came to my school, bro. They like gave us a whole lecture on like getting tested and stuff like that. And they gave us these little Ziploc bags that had like, you know, information on it, like fast facts, condoms, and all this stuff. And I just brought it home, and I guess my grandma found it, and she snapped on me like, "You better not be having no sex." Blah,
but it's
blah,
like
blah.
you haven't protected
sex. But bro, I
didn't even get there yet.
Okay.
Like,
you messing up my phone.
I'm like, dang, like. But she never explained why she was snapping, bro. But it's just like when you look back on things like that in the black community, it just be like, I know what she was trying to protect me from, like being a teenage parent. Yeah. But it's like the education component, the communication, that's equally important. Yeah, for At least let me know why you're upset, or like talk to me about like, did I use it? Am I crossing that road? Do I need some support? And I think that's the biggest difference in our generation. It's just that level of intentionality and that level of like thoughtfulness.
Nah, for sure. That's what I say. Like, I know, like I see my mom, like she's grown so much, like as a mother, like certain things that she would have done with me, because it's different. Because I'd be like, all right, my brother just said this and he didn't get a whooping, so what's going on? Because if I was younger, you would have had that belt on me. You feel me? So like I've seen her grow as a mother, and she don't do certain things that she does, or she's more transparent with my brother, as whereas like. in the beginning, like that's why I do give credit to my stepdad, because he's the one who taught me of like, this is what a condom is. This is how you have safe sex. You feel me? This is how you protect yourself in a moment. Don't go like touching girls or not doing anything without their permission. You dig what I'm saying? And so like he taught me those things, whereas before, like my mom, she didn't want to talk about those things, but it was because she just wasn't aware of like how to communicate that with a child. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, that's a whole like rabbit hole of just like parenting and the black community and all of that stuff.
I love these conversations though, bro. Like anybody, you ask anybody about me, like just black family dynamics is just like something that's like so interesting to me, and it's just something it's so important as well. And I think like being in a city like Atlanta, bro, it just opened my eyes so much to like the ideals of like black family dynamics, where like I never saw multiple generations of black wealth. Like I didn't see that until I got here. Like you'll see, like I went to school with people that like live out here, and like because I moved here now, I tapped in with them. When I go to their house, they not growing up in a row home like I did in Philly. Like they literally got like a mansion with like a Benz in the driveway. That's their car. Like they've been driving Benzes since high school. It may not have been like the most recent models, but my base 1996 Nissan Maxima that I paid $1,200 for, that had 140,000 miles on it when I was in high school. They starting off with an old school Benz.
Crazy.
And I just like, it blew my mind, bro. And I would ask people like, yo, like, what did your family do? Oh, they did real estate, they did this, blah, blah, blah. And it really opened my eyes being here of like, yo, not all black people come from poverty. Like not all black people are like really doing like bad. And it's like you could see it, like you could touch it, like it's like real. So when you say like, you know, it's a possibility for black kids to grow up like without experiencing like real in-depth trauma, it's so possible. And like being here, bro, we very fortunate to be in one of the blackest and like most affluent cities in America. For
sure. And like that just sets the tone like for your son, for real. Like he really gets to experience a whole different life. Like even my little brother, like my mom and my stepdad, they made the mistakes with me and my stepbrother. Like they had the ups and downs with me. My brother, he didn't experience half of what we seen. You know what I'm saying? Like we call him the innocent, like he like the innocent child, for real, because he haven't experienced the things or gone through the things that we had gone through. And that's not saying that he hasn't gone through any adversity, but he just hasn't had to experience like the really tough things that like we had to experience. So like, it's just crazy how this generation is like trying to do something way different than what our previous generation did.
It's so crazy, bro, because I call my son, I'd be like, yo, you a suburban dude.
Nah, bro, that's what my little brother is. Like the way he talk, proper, all of that. I'd be like, bro.
Crazy. Like, I'd be like, yo, you really grew up like you was born in Decatur, Georgia, and you live in this neighborhood where it's like, I mean, it ain't really many kids I've seen that look like him. So it's just like, dang, like me and your mom hard work really like afforded this for you, and it's only going to keep getting better. But I never asked you this, bro. Why did you choose Atlanta? Like, what brought you here?
Really, like clients is what brought me here. Same way how you said like you wanted to move to Atlanta. Literally, as soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm trying to move like right now. My mom was like, no, you need to sit down and wait. Like, figure out what your plan is. Like, do you want to go to college or not? She was like, if you don't want to go to college, that's cool. Just don't waste my money and let me know that up front. And I didn't want to go to college, so I was like, I want to move out here and see what happens. And literally, first year, last year, 2023, the podcast started, all of that stuff. So it was like, I wanted to move out here to see what happens. And the same way as you said, like, you're like the first generation of doing things, like, that's the same for me. Like, I'm like one of the very few people in my family that moved out of like their parents' home and like went outside of the comforts of like just living in their parents' house. And that's not to discredit any of my family that still lives with their parents and stuff, because even though I am out here, like I live with my godparents right now until I find my own place. And even within that, I'm not directly home. Like I'm not with my parents. You dig what I'm saying? So I have to like learn how to finance. Like I learn how to manage my money. I have to learn how to, go to urgent care if I'm sick or like get some medicine, or even now, like I'm learning how to be more self-sufficient when it comes to like cooking or doing my hair if I don't want to buy like book for an appointment to get retwists. Like I literally had to do my own hair prior to us recording.
I went through the same thing.
So like all of those things has taught me a lot since I moved out here, and that was the reason I knew I could grow more. That was the reason of why I moved to Atlanta, because I knew I could grow more out here rather than just being in Delaware. It's nothing in Delaware. It's nothing in Jersey. So I'm like, what is there for me to do there if I know the plan that I have and I know what my mission is? I know I want to be a household brand. I know I want to impact people. I want my brand to be in people's minds how Apple is in everybody's hands. You dig what I'm saying? Or Apple is in everybody's minds or everybody's car. Like,
and in everybody's pocket.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how I want my brand to be. Yeah. And so it's just no going back. Like, it's no going back home. I have the option too. My mom and my stepdad has mentioned that, like, you can come back home if ever needed. But I'm like, no, like, this is what it is. This is what I chose to do. And I know there's no, like, plan B. So this is what I'm going to do. And I know me going back home is not going to be fulfillment for me. Like, that's when I would really feel like I fell forward. Like,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
what piece of advice would you give to anybody, like, looking to replicate your journey? Because I feel like college is a thing that's becoming more and more obsolete. Mm-hmm. I'm a person that went, so, like, I'm always, like, an advocate for it. But it's so many new ways to make money now and, like, develop a life for yourself. And people are getting rich younger and younger.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, like, for somebody that would like to, like, bet on themselves, like, what would you suggest them do? And, like, what kind of, like, plans would you suggest them put in place before taking a leap of faith like that?
Oh, yeah. So this is good because definitely betting on yourself, that's where you get the most results for real. So when you bet on yourself, like, there's so much that can come out of it rather than you betting on the next person. Because as you said, like, asking, like, what content creators and stuff that I watch, I could watch them, but I also know that I have the potential to, like, get there too. So, like, when you bet on yourself and when you take those risks, that's when you'll really see, like, the fruits of your labor. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the main things that I would say to, like, have set up is, for one, have faith. Like, before I moved out here, I didn't have a church home. And so that's why my church is virtual. So I joined the church. And we went from there, and, like, I've been going to that church for the last year since I've been out here. And that allows me to, you know, have my faith. If I ever get weary, I can go to my church and get fulfilled, and, you know, have that, like, they pour back into my cup, basically. And so, have faith. Definitely, you know, have your money up. Like, I had at least 10K, 20K in savings when I first moved out here. And so I was like, and I could have bought a place then, but I'm glad I didn't, because I used to look at things where I was like, I'm not looking at no price tag. Yeah. Like, if I want it, I'm gonna just buy it. Like,
I'm trying to work out of that phase.
I'm trying my best, bro. I'm still working on it. So, like, when it comes to price tags and stuff, I still be working. Like, bro, if you could get a better deal, I'm watching Anthony O'Neal and stuff like that, Dave Ramsey, and trying to learn their principles of, like, how to save money. So, like, I really gotta work on that for sure. And that's what I would advise people.
Not to cut you off, bro.
Nah,
like,
you good.
When it comes to shoes, bro, Asia, tell me, like, I'm gonna do it, bro. Like, I'm gonna close my eyes. We'll think about it later, but I'm gonna buy them shoes. I ain't gonna hold you.
I got out of that phase of, like, buying shoes because I'm like, bro, like, I guess with like InvestFest and stuff like that, it just taught me, like, okay, what value are you getting back on these shoes? And I'm not saying it's anything wrong with you buying them, because I believe me, I want to go ahead and blow money on some Rick Owens and stuff like that. But I'm just like, my money go to other places like food, or it goes to, like, buying clothes, like different shirts and stuff like that. So that's where my money be going. And so with that being said, I'm really working on, like, the money aspect.
Yeah, and for me, bro, like, I think I'm, like, for me, I live a very modest lifestyle.
Same.
So, like, I don't really be in a mix like that or go a whole bunch of places. So when I do buy shoes or something like that, I think we all got, like, that guilty pleasure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's, like, definitely shoes. So, like, when I was younger, it would be like, but now, like, with the price of shoes, it ain't the same sneaker game as it used to be. So, like, $300 a pop, $400 a pop for some sneaks, $200, that's a lot of money. So it's definitely, like, more calculated. And now that I'm a little older, like, I know the value of stuff, so I take care of it a little better. But I think the feedback that you gave, it was, like, spot on. I definitely moved out here with, like, 10, 20K too.
Yeah, for sure.
The pandemic was there. I just was, like, just running it up. I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm watching people take trips and all that. I'm like,
for sure.
I know I want to move to Atlanta. Like, I know that I want to go there. Like, I can't do what everybody else is doing. I got to stack up. And that was difficult, bro. Like, I dipped into it a couple times, but never to the point to where, like, it was gonna take me away from like my ultimate goal. So.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely with just moving, it's like you just gotta take that risk. Like it grows you into a whole different person. If all you know is like where you're at when you're home, that's all you're gonna ever like be able to box yourself into. And so when you move, you start to, like you said, when you go to Neo's events or Circle of CEOs, you're like, bro, Neo got a Lamborghini outside. This person got a Rolls Royce. I'm like, bro, like it ain't even 5 of them in Philly, or it ain't even 5 of them in Delaware.
See one of them in Philly?
It's rare.
What you gotta do?
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, to see that, I'm like, oh, bet, like I could do this too.
Yeah.
You feel me? So you never know what comes out of moving, and you don't have to move to just Atlanta. It could be Houston, it could be LA, it could be even somewhere that's not as frequent. Like experiencing in different places of the world really grows you into a different person, and it humbles you. It gives you that humility to realize that everybody don't live the same life. You know what I'm saying? Like we all have 24 hours, but we all live it differently. And so with that, we just have to be appreciative of like where we are. So definitely moving, it grows you into a whole different person.
Speaking of like low key cities, bro, that's how it was when I recently went to Charlotte. Like that was a city I heard about, like it's like fire a little bit, but when I went, I was like, yo, Charlotte is fire.
That's
like,
crazy.
If I ever left Atlanta, I'm like Houston, Dallas, or Charlotte. Like I'm looking at those. Like I had the same feeling when I knew Houston was gonna be lit, but Charlotte really did throw me for a loop because I just didn't think like it was that lit. Like it's beautiful. It's black people everywhere. There's always stuff to do. Like, it was a cool city.
That's good. Like even now, what I'm thinking, I don't have like any other place I like really want to move. I think experiencing LA has really shown me like, okay, like it's even more stuff that I haven't seen. Like seeing the way they put their fits together, I'm like, oh, that fit is fire. So I'm like, oh, I could bring this back to Atlanta. So like definitely LA would be possibly an option, because I feel like LA is like not my vibe. I feel like I'm a little bit humble sometimes. So like
LA
the superficial, like the superficial like vibe with LA, I don't know if I could really live in that. But I would say I want to do things like maybe stay out, like live in the country for like a month or some, or like 2 months. Yeah, I think I would want to try that like once in a lifetime, or even multiple time periods in my life. Like taking my family, we stay somewhere for like 2 months, you know, out of the country, or like even thinking of things. When I went on a cruise, I'm like, you know how like Mr. Beast be like, you know, buying cars and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, what if you like are able to take a bunch of people on a cruise ship, you pay for all of their stuff, and y'all just go to like 3 different destinations. Like that would be like a different
Dream
vibe.
come true.
Yeah, so like those are like things that I really see as far as like moving and traveling, just to like really experience new parts of the world.
How often do you go to LA?
I really be going with Queen. And she's a music artist, so like she be filming like her music there and like going to the studio and stuff. So we be pretty much going, like I would say, like we go every like periods. We go in time periods, and we go for like a week or 2 sometimes. So
what's that like being around somebody like on her level?
She's humble as well, so I get to see, like she got a Porsche, and she posted it on her vlog. I edited that vlog, and like I told her that was my dream car. So to like see her with it. The Porsche Cayenne, she had that. She has that, and she got a Tesla too, and like Clarence has a Maybach, and so like to see these cars, so I'm like, I want a Maybach, I want a Porsche. Like I'm satisfied with the car that I got now, but just to like be able to have those cars,
like the exposure.
Yeah, the exposure basically, and with that, it's just like dang, like she didn't come from this. Like she was on Section 8 and welfare and all of that stuff, so. To see her living in it now, like I'd be curious to ask her, like, well, I do ask her, like, how was it? And she tells me, you know, her experience, or she tells me how like her taste buds or her experience to new things has made her want to be like, oh, like I want to buy designer, not because like I'm in love or I idolize it, but it's just the fact that I'm able to do it, so why not? You know what I'm saying? So like going to LA and going to different places, it just shows me like, dang, like you're really able to live out here. You're able to meet people out here. A lot of different people in the industry live out there. So I would say going to LA, it really shows me like a lot. It just shows me a ton. It shows me gratitude. It shows me that Queen trusts me to, be around her in that time period and, not be able to switch up in rooms when I see different people. We went to a YouTube event. We had saw like different people, like the whole Cash Money crew and like LL Cool J, Sweetie, NLE Choppa, and I'm just like, oh, like these are humans. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking at them like, oh, they're above me. I'm looking at them like I can get there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it shows me. LA shows me that it's possible. And the fact that I'm even in that room and I've been able to walk past them and be in their presence, I'm like, I'm already there. Like, like I'm on my way basically. So that's what it teaches me when I go out there.
What would you say is like the biggest piece of wisdom or like the biggest thing that you like learned from her?
Definitely to like keep God at the center.
Wow.
She gives her credit to like everything that she does. It's not I did this. It's like God did it for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like God made a way for her to have like get out of her situation and stuff like that. So like that's what she taught me. Like we go to the same church.
Yeah.
So it's like, like that's what she really taught me is to like keep God at the center and like whatever struggles that you're going through, bring it, like cast it on to God and, go to him about your problems. So I would say that's the most important thing. And to not change, like no matter all the riches that you have or anything, like don't change who you are. Like she still got a childlike spirit. Like she's goofy, she's funny. And just like she don't allow anything that she has to like make her feel like, oh, like I'm better than all else. You know what I'm saying? So that's what she's taught me.
You know what's crazy? You said this earlier, bro, and I didn't get to respond to it because the conversation has gone so many ways.
Nah, for sure, it's been going good.
But when you talk about manifestation, I used to watch the Royal Family vlogs on YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew that they lived somewhere in Georgia at some point, so I'm like, dang, I'm going there. Like, I wonder if I ever meet like Clarence or something like that, because I would see him and Maya. They would play basketball all the time. And I used to be weird, bro. Like, we supporters, so we be like, yo, that look like the gym I go to. Like, what gym they go to? And one day they walked into my LA Fitness, bro. And I hooped with them 2 times in 1 week.
Crazy.
And I was just like, yo, I really used to watch this man on YouTube, yo. And I wasn't fanned out. It was more so just like
a respect kind of thing?
It was a deep respect. It was like, yo, the power of manifestation, like what you see in your mind, it's like, it's real. Because there was a point where I was watching them, and I was like, I can't wait to move to Atlanta. Like, they make Atlanta look so lit. Like, it's these type of houses out there. Because I've seen them get, different houses throughout their journey and, like, moving up and stuff like that. And I was like, I got to get to the A, yo. And I was in the gym with him and Maya. We was hooping. They was cool people. And it was just like, I seen them leave out. I think it was in the G-Wagon and all that. But just like that exposure, I'm like, they just came to my gym on a random Tuesday, Wednesday. We just hooping. It's just like, they was cool. Like, we was talking trash to each other throughout, blah, blah, blah. Clarence brought like a bunch of his homies from New York with him, and it just was cool. Like, it just was like, but manifestation, bro, and like what you said about LA, we experienced that a lot in Atlanta too. Just like being around like stars and like people that we might have watched on TV or social media. It's just like such a regular thing here that like,
that's real.
It's amazing, bro.
Bro, when I first like came out here like to move officially, because I was coming back and forth like before I graduated, I was coming back and forth to Atlanta like at least for a week, a couple days. But when I like officially moved last year, I went to Toast on Linux, and I'm sitting right here. Like, I'm literally sitting right here, and where you're at, Summer Walker is literally sitting right next to me. I'm like, bro, like I rock with I love R&B, and I love Summer Walker music. So I'm like,
Summer too.
Bro, the fact that she just sitting there, and I didn't even say nothing. I was just like, I'm gonna respect her privacy, because she clearly wasn't trying to be seen. Like, she was on a low key tip. So I was just like, bro, like that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, and even like with Clarence and them, like, bro, I had like a whole vision board. Like, I actually got it real quick that I could pull it up on my phone. Like, I had a whole vision board, bro. Like writing their names down, and everything that I have on this vision board has like occurred basically up until this point. Like, and that's just the simplest form of a vision board. It's their names. It got a camera. I'm like, wow. It has a clothing line, and now I'm about to start selling these shirts. So it's like everything kind of came to pass on that vision board. Now I need to make another one.
Bro, would you believe I got a picture that's like just like this?
That's crazy, bro.
I swear to God. It's probably, I'm not gonna be able to find it as quick as you, but bro, when
I just save this so I can remember when I do stuff like that.
Bro, when I show you this, is gonna blow your mind, because it's the same
crazy,
stuff in my
bro.
picture. Found it, bro.
That's crazy, bro. That's insane. Atlanta, what they say? Am I next?
That's on the Philly side. They got like a tombstone, and I was like, "Am I next?" Like just thinking all the death and the violence. But then on the Atlanta side, you see
that's literally the same exact image.
Yeah, bro. We got all of these next to each
other.
Nah,
that's insane.
Crazy.
I should send you this so that way you could put that junk up.
Yeah, send that to me, bro. Yo, that's wild.
That's insane. The YouTube, all of that, the money.
That's
insane. That's crazy, bro.
We like the same person.
Nah, bro, I'm gonna send this junk to you real quick. That is insane.
Yo, that's a crazy moment, yo.
What made you write that? Like, what made you draw that? Draw that out.
I felt like that was the best way I could express myself at the time, bro. Like, I just was like, I gotta write this down. Like, I didn't want to write it down because I felt like it just couldn't really illustrate. And I wanted to show it to like one of my mentors, like before I left, because I was asking their advice of like before I left.
Yeah.
And that was just what I was considering, bro. I had to like really open my mind and be like, what you could see, like this supposed to be like my grandma, man. You could see in the
that's your grandma at the top?
Yeah, like in heaven. And I asked her, like, what do I do? And I got Philly on this side, and I got Atlanta. And I was like, do I leave my family behind, like the people that's here? Or do I go and like chase my dreams?
So you know that too. That and I haven't given credit to like none of my teachers or anything yet, but like my mentor, he was the guy that like stewarded over me in the club of gentlemen, where like, you know, they're teaching us like how to be a man and stuff like that, how to tie your tie, all of that stuff. Mr. Griffin, like he taught me. Miss Sharp, she was like my what was she? She was like my 6th grade math teacher. Yeah. She was like, you go on places. And even to this day, she's like, I'm so proud of you, like where you are right now. And like even like the teacher that I had when I was graduating, she was like, let me take a picture with you before you leave. Because she was like, I know you go on places. I want to show people that I knew who you were. So it's like, stuff like that is like crazy. But to what you said about how you thought about like your family. Yeah. I dealt with that too. Like I was like, dang, like I'm about to. My mom, her biggest desire was to get a house. Yeah. You know, as I said, she made her and my stepdad made the mistakes with me and my stepbrother. So it was like, by the time she actually her and my stepdad actually got a house, it was like I was already ready to move to Atlanta, and she was hoping for me to like be able to make memories and stuff at that house. And it was like a hard transition for her. Like once I moved last year, she told me that like she kind of went through a depression phase. Bro. Yeah, she went through a depression phase because she was like, I was like sleeping in your room because I'm just like, dang, like, you know, I wanted you to make memories here, and I did for that year. But also like I remember I told you I was depressed, so I didn't start being able to be relieved from that depression phase until I was about to move. And so she was just like, dang, like there's just so much time has passed, and I wish I could have done it sooner. Like I wish I would have been able to get a house sooner, so that way you can live and like make memories and stuff. But it's like now I'm like a young adult and I'm living on my own and all of that. And she's just like, I think sometimes like she grieves that. Yeah. What if, you know what I'm saying? Or like thinking like you can't work from home or like do what you're doing from home. So that was a very tough decision as well, because I was ready to move, but as it got closer, I was like, dang, like. My little brother is like, we're 10 years apart. He's 11, I'm 21 now. And when I moved, he was 10. I was 19 actually. Yeah. And so, yeah, like with that being said, it just really was a crazy factor during that time. Cause I was like, bro, like I'm having so much battlefield in my mind of whether or not should I move, should I not no more. And my stepdad was like, just go, like just live your life. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So like, what was that for you?
In terms of like the feeling of that, it was just like survivor's remorse, bro. Like survivor's guilt, because like none of my family went to college. Yeah. Even fresh out of college, with as little as I was making, I was already making more than my parents, like the people that raised me. So it was like, when you think about that, like you took it the furthest and then you just leave. I just felt really like guilty about that. I got a younger sister. She has a baby, so I got a nephew. Shout out to my nephew. But it was just like, especially being like the only boy. Yeah. It was just like, damn, like I'm really, like I'm dipping. And I had a lot of guilt, bro. Like it was eating me up so bad, but I was like, I've showed them as much as I could show them in Philly. Like through my journey, I did everything I could.
That's how I felt.
And now I gotta live for me and do what makes me happy. Cause I feel like a lot of my college journey, that wasn't really for me, bro. I went because it was like the logical thing to do, but it wasn't like something like in my heart. Like I want to go to college, I want to do this. So this was like the first decision in my life that was like a huge risk that I did for myself. And I just like, I want to do this for me. Like this the biggest thing I ever wanted to do. Like I'm doing it, and I just did it. And like what I've been able to accomplish since I've been here and opened my family eyes, now I can go back to them and tell my aunt, like, you can move, you 40, but why not? If you want to live in a different place or start over your life, like, do it. You see me literally do it. I ain't know nobody here. I literally did this on my own. So just that perspective and like how I've grown as a person, pushing past that guilt has really allowed me to just like be a role model and like be an example in a lot of ways. So I'm happy that I took the risk.
Yeah, and it's crazy because as you said, like, you got a little sister, I got a bigger sister. Yeah. She got a nephew. I never met him. I said she got a nephew. I have a nephew. Yeah. She has a son, and I never met him at all because he was born during the pandemic, and I was supposed to go to the hospital, but that's when, you know, the world kind of shut down. So, like, life kind of just moved on. Yeah. You know, like, after the pandemic, then I, like, immediately moved to Atlanta. So, it was like I still haven't met him to this day, and I forget his exact age, but I believe he's somewhere around like 3 or 4. And so it's just like, bro. I just felt, it's crazy because the same way, like you said, like with depression and anxiety, like you didn't have the language for it. Yeah. Like I'm finding the language. And so as soon as you said survivor's remorse, it clicked for me. I'm like, oh, that's what I was experiencing too. And then like the whole like sister and son, like nephew and stuff like that, I'm like, bro, like, that's my story. So like, that's
why I said I feel like we similar. It's
nah,
just like
for sure.
Just a little older.
Yeah, that word. So that's really how it is. And so like, I feel like with my cousin, he's like experienced depression, and I try to help him with that. And I'm like, dang, I see he's going through the same thing that I went through. Yeah. He's older than me, and I try to give him the tools to like tell him like, this is what you could do to you know get out of that phase. And I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to expose his business, but definitely him dealing with depression and stuff, I'm like, okay, like at this point, it's a choice that you're deciding to still be in it. Like you're gonna have to want to get out of it. Like you can't wake up every day saying like, oh, I don't like who I am. You have to make some changes now. Or even my aunt, like her telling me when I share my experiences with going to Aspen with Queen and Clarence, and she's telling me, oh, I don't think I never will get the chance to go to Aspen. And I'm like, who told you that you couldn't? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do anything that you want. Facts. And just saying like, oh, like, well, I need to save for this and all of that stuff. Yes, you do. But like, for me, I'm not attached to money. I understand that like money comes and goes. You know what I'm saying? It's a tool. Money comes and goes. I remember when the times prior to me moving out to Delaware, moving out to Atlanta, the times prior to me moving out to Atlanta, and I'm traveling back and forth from Delaware to Atlanta, I was working with David Shins already. And with that being said, I spent $4,000 for a VIP ticket to like meet him for the first time. Although I was already working with him. And he was like, you didn't have to buy a ticket. What you buy a ticket for? And I'm like, I just wanted to get in the room. I wanted to make sure that I was in the room. It didn't matter to me whether I worked for you or not. I wasn't looking for you to, you know what I'm saying, just say like, oh yeah, come in for free. Like, no, you had a price set up on the website, so I'm gonna pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And I've done that multiple times, like paying for me to get in a room or paying for me to get knowledge and, you know, get game. And with that, I also have made a ton of mistakes. I've actually lost Dave as a client. I lost different people as clients and stuff just due to kind of what you said about your friends, like not being at that frequency with them. And, you know, that has taught me a ton. And so with living through survivor's remorse, with living through like self-sabotage and all of that stuff, like this is the journey that really has grown me to where I am today. Yeah.
If you don't take that risk of like stretching yourself and like doing something like this, like moving to a new city where you don't know nobody or something like that, you gotta start over and build yourself up from the ground up, you're not gonna get those lessons by just being home and just being comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that I do think like we got a ton of parallels, but I think the one thing that's a little bit different is you went to you have got therapy, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't. Like all of this that I've gone through, I haven't got therapy. It's just more so like this is internal work that I'm doing on my own.
Wow.
And I'm like, do I still need therapy? Or like I know that it's beneficial, but I'm like, if I made it up to this point, like what could I really gain from that? So like what's your experience with it? I know I'm not supposed to be asking you questions, but like
no, you can. I feel like that's what makes podcasts like better. But I feel like damn, that's first and foremost, I want to commend you on like doing that much work on your own.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably would have drove myself crazy.
I almost did.
Trying to do that. But I would say like for me, it's like it's a space of relief. Because I feel like the type of person I am, like I play the role of a helper for so many people, like for my family, amongst my friend group. Like I'm the person that people call and go to with problems. So a lot of times when it comes to like working through my own problems, I feel like I'm pouring from an empty cup. I don't have nothing left. So I feel like for me, it's a space of relief where I can let my guard down and I like can talk to somebody that like wants to take the time to like understand my pain. Because a lot of time when you're in the position of being like the one, the boss, the chosen one, the GOAT for your family or your friend group, a lot of people don't really care about those aspects of you. They don't think like you go through hardships because it's like you got everything you need. Like you got money, you got this, you got that. Like I ain't worrying about what you going through. You got the resources to overcome it. So I feel like for me, it's a space of relief, but also it's a space to learn. Somebody told me something recently. This had to be like a year or two ago, but they was like, if you knew everything at the age you're at now, Devontae, like what would be the point of living? Because I'm so reflective on my own. When I make mistakes, I like really go through the ringer of being like, how could I have done this differently? Or why did I do this? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it'd be like, you're not going to know everything at, you know, this moment in time. So I think for me, it's like, it keeps me humble to like go to a space to where like I can talk to somebody and it's like I can be educated and like I can rely on them to like get another perspective. Because I think sometimes like our perspective is limited to our experiences and then the people around us. So like we might think about certain in a certain way, but that don't necessarily mean it's right. Yeah. And I think the more perspective that you can draw to look at a situation from different vantage points, it helps you make more educated decisions. For sure. Versus if you're just going off of your worldview, your culture, your background, your ideation, your biases. So I feel like that's the biggest thing I get from therapy is like, damn, like I never looked at it from that point of view. Like I think I'm like pretty smart. Yeah. And I think in a lot of spaces I'm in, like I'm probably one of the smartest people in the room. So I think like when somebody is around you that can challenge your beliefs and your belief system and like your moral code, all of those things, it just makes you sharper as a person. So for me, I think those have been the benefits of therapy is like the increased perspective, which has allowed me to just reflect better on aspects of myself that need to be changed. And it's like, even if you don't fully agree, it's just always something to consider. So I think that's what it does for me. It's like two things that you really definitely opened up for me. Because the one thing that you said as far as like, you get another person's perspective. Yeah. And so I know for me, what I notice is I could be like one track minded as far as like, if I see something one way, and that's how I am. I'm like, okay, this is the way it has to go. So, for example, like with graphics, if I see this is how a design can be made, I'll keep doing that same formula of a design until somebody show me something different. I'm like, oh, like now I can do it this way. I can do it this way. So, in aspects as far as when there's mistakes or where there's like adversity or there's conflict, I should say, I can see both sides of people's perspectives. Yeah. But when it comes to like making a decision or like doing things a certain way, I could be one track minded in that space. And so like I think that's what therapy will open up for me. And then also the fact of like how you said like I'm like pretty like you own that you're smart. Yeah. And so like for me, I feel like I struggle with like self-image sometimes because like, okay, I've done these things.
I've like, you know, did this, but like I'm still like looking for validation at certain periods. And I've gotten better with that. Like, but before I used to have to, everybody would have to validate me in order for me to think that something was right to do or cool to do. You know what I'm saying? But now what I'm going through or what I'm experiencing now is like, okay, how do you begin to understand that you are deemed as important or you are deemed as a person that is of value, of substance, and you own it. You know it, but you need to own it. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
That's where I'm like at now, where I'm like, okay, you have to work on your self-image because that's reasons why you've lost certain clients, or that's the reason why you haven't been able to been removed from different spaces because you didn't see yourself as valuable enough to remain in those spaces. You know what I'm saying? So
that's crazy.
That's like something that really is an eye opener for me, where I'm like, I'm never gonna turn down going to therapy, but at some points I'm like, okay, what's the point if I've made it here? But it's like you still have more work.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still dealing with that at 28.
Dang, I would have never thought.
I'm still going through that, and it was actually with somebody big out here that I like. I may have been projecting, and I may have even like self-sabotaged to where like a lesser form of myself like showed up and it impacted the relationship. And I went back to that person and like said sorry, but you know, like sometimes like that damage it'd be done. Yeah. So like on the topic of self-love though, and what I'll say, because I feel like what I heard from you is a lot of like, I'm not trying to like therapize you or nothing.
No,
that's
for
not
sure.
even a word, but
therapize.
I deal with like abandonment from like not having my mom and my dad. And I know you didn't have your dad too. And like we both black men, so it's like trying to find yourself and like find your place in the world and be comfortable with who it is that you present to the world.
Yeah,
for me,
sure.
like I said, even in that picture, you can see like I've existed between these two worlds of like I grew up in the hood. Like anybody that really know me, they know like Tay from Southwest. Like he grew up in Philly, like in the thick of it. But at the same time, like I never been like a tough guy. And I feel like growing up in the era of Philly that I grew up in, like you either had to be super fly, you had to be funny, or you had to be tough. And I wasn't tough. I didn't get the most money. Like my family did okay, and I was funny, but like not like I ain't Kevin Hart. So it's like I was just me, but I was smart and I was deep. Like I always like was a good writer. Like I always been like a creative at heart. But those are the parts of myself that like I silenced and like I hid from the world trying to navigate Philly. So a lot of people didn't get to experience like some of my gifts until now that I'm like being open with sharing, because I didn't feel like it, like the environment was like safe enough to do so. And that's a lot of like what I talked to my therapist about when I first started going to therapy. And one thing that he told me that has comforted me, but also like has allowed me to really start to grow and heal from a lot of things is that you can't begin the process of loving yourself until you accept yourself. And I didn't accept the fact that like, yo, I'm from Philly, like I'm from the hood, but I'm never gonna be as tough as so-and-so. Like I'm just, this is DeMonte, like I'm a cool guy, like I'm laid back, I like to get fly. Like I'm cool, I grew up around a lot of women, so I know how to relate to women.
Same.
I'm in tune with my emotions and like, all of that is okay. Like it don't make you nothing. And I used to think like it made me sweet or like it made me soft and like
for sure.
In a lot of ways I would overcompensate and find myself in situations to where I didn't even need to be in because I was trying to prove that I was something that I'm just inherently not.
That's real.
Like I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter, but don't get that twisted. Like if I got I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But if I could talk a situation down with you, I'm gonna try to do that first.
Oh, that just opened up something more for me.
A lot of people, especially coming from Philly, like we not talking. Like it's either we rumbling or we shooting.
For sure.
So like I would just say as I got older, like I had to be comfortable with all of those parts of myself. Like, yo, I'm not tough. Like I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. Like I'm actually, excuse my French, but like you smart as shit.
For sure.
You came from the hood. Your mom dropped out of school in 9th grade, and you somehow made it to an Ivy League school. Like you're intelligent. Like you have gifts. Like own that and like be happy what God blessed you with. And I think once he told me that, I think a lot of people just hear like self-love, self-love, self-love. If I just do this, if I just say my affirmations, I'm gonna love myself more. But it's like in that same process, you have to look in the mirror and be like comfortable with what you see.
Yeah.
And you gotta accept it. Like, yo, this is DeMonte. Like, that's my God-given name. Like, this is not no Tay Loso. This is not Monte. It's not nothing. Like, my mom wrote on that birth certificate, DeMonte. Like, so when I look in the mirror and I see that first, and I get comfortable and happy with what I see, that's what propelled my self-love journey. And I feel like I just wanted to pass that along.
Nah, for sure. That just opened up, like, even when you said, like, I'm not Tay Loso or stuff like that, I'm like, okay, like, you have to remove those, like, things, like, you're not Roy Trevion when you know what I'm saying? Like, when you wake up. Because I had that brand name since, like, since, like, 4th grade or something like that. Like, I'm really a youngin' for, like, I had that for mad long. And that name came about not just because, like, just anything. It just came about because, like, my mom, I know she definitely have struggled at points in time. She just never showed it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so with that, it was like, I never had to worry about, like, oh, can I get these sneakers or stuff like that. It wasn't up until, like, I turned, like, 15 or 16, and that's when, you know, things started being revealed. And so with that being said, like, just going through, like, the phases of life, even now, like, it's making me realize what you said, like, I'm not a person that's, like, confrontational. And so it's crazy because it's making me think back, like, maybe you were putting on an image when you were younger. Because it's like, okay, I know how to fight, or, like, I will fight. I'm not going to back down. But then I also know that, like, now I'm just not a person where I'm like, oh, like, the first thought is, like, let's fight. The first thought is, like, well, what you want to fight for?
How can we de-escalate the
like, let's de-escalate it. Or I'm not even confrontational at all. And so those were, like, the identity crisis where I'm, like, still learning now of, like, who am I? Like, who am I at my core? I'm not.
You gotta be, like, super honest with yourself.
For sure. Like, you're not Roy Trevion. You're not Royalty Made It. You're not the host of Growing Pains podcast. You're not none of those things when you look in the mirror. You're Trevion at the end of the day. And so, like, Trevion is basically a reflection of how you said, like, I'm a lover, like, not a fighter. I'm a person that, like, I forgive people. Even if they did me wrong, like, I'll forgive them because I'm like, bro, like, if God forgives us, like, who am I to sit here and, like, put myself on a pedestal and be like, oh, I'm never going to forgive you because you did this person. Like, if God was the same way and he just crossed us off after all of our sins, it's like, we will all be done and finished. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that just really opened up, like, a whole new thing that I have to think about because when I was younger, I was that person. I was a person, I did have clothes. I would say I was, like, the class clown. I was funny. I definitely made people, like, show all their teeth for sure. So, like, I definitely, like, would, like, definitely, I definitely was a class clown, but I also had a side of me where it was, like, you weren't as good of a person. Like, you were putting on an image and you were, like, being mean in a sense to people, or, like, you were fighting for no reason, or like just trying to get into trouble for no reason. And it's like, you didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I had, like, a lot of anger built up inside of me when I was younger. And that goes back to what you said about, like, abandonment. Like, my dad not being in my life, that's what, like, stemmed. I used to really sit there and be like, dang, like, I wish my mom and my dad was together. I wish I did have the white picket fence with, like, a pet and my biological dad and mom in the same room. But, like, my dad was abusive to my mom. So if she would have stayed, who's to say she would even be here still? Right, you know what I'm saying? And I always say now that I don't like to bring those things up about my dad to, like, put him out on Front Street. But it's like, it's my story. Like, I can't run from it. You know what I'm saying? It's what happened. I'm not holding him. I'm not saying that's what he does today. But I'm just saying, like, that's what I experienced. And so even now, it just makes me realize, like, you have to keep, every point in time of your life, you have to keep, like, striving to find yourself.
It's a lifelong journey, bro. Like, all of your shadow work, you're going to arrive at a place where you be like, all right, I mastered this. And then you might get in a relationship or do business with somebody and something might surface. And you're like, damn, it's still some remnants there. Like, there's still some stuff there that I have to account for. Let me venture back. For sure. And, like, see where this is stemming from. And I'll tell you two things, bro. The first thing is, I heard something from Nipsey a while back, and he said, would you rather be at peace with yourself and at war with the world, or at war with the world? and at peace with yourself. I don't know if I said it.
Nah,
correctly,
I remember him saying that.
Yeah, but I think like I heard that around the same time that I started like my self-love journey, and I never really thought about it like that. So to start like creating that internal peace, one thing I've realized is that like you can't have one without the other. Or at least this is my theory. Like you can't just have God and not have therapy. Because you know the saying like faith without works is dead. So I think God tends to us in a spiritual sense. Like it's things that, you know, if we serve him, things will manifest in our lives. But I still think it's a certain level of work that we have to do down here to like cultivate ourselves and, you know, ultimately to like become better people and get closer to him. So what I'm saying is that like some people just think, and I think a lot of our parents were like this too, like as if I just pray, like this gonna make me less mean-spirited. If I just pray, I'm gonna stop lying one day. But you're not doing the work to like cultivate your character, and that work comes from not only believing in God, but whether it's talking
to a life coach, a counselor,
or a therapist in some type of spaces and like doing that internal work. So I found it that like it's a lot of years where like I was dry, like spiritually. I didn't have God. And I actually just said this to one of my big homies yesterday. I was like, yo, bro, it's amazing how much success I've had while not being in tune with God. Like I wasn't going to church for a lot of years before I moved here because I had church hurt from things that happened in my childhood. So I went through a whole phase where I was questioning God and questioning a lot of things. And I just was telling him, I'm like, yo, bro, like God really kept me throughout that whole journey. And I was winning. Graduated from Temple, won hella awards, graduated from University of Penn. I finished all my education debt-free, moved to Atlanta up like 10, 20 racks, started my life, my car note paid off. I'm just like, all of that, and I was not serving God the way I wasn't reading my Bible. I wasn't going to church, and I'm winning like that. But now I'm at a place where like, I've been dealing with like spiritual warfare in a lot of aspects of my life, like whether it's with my self-image or in my relationship with my identity as a dad, a brother, all of the things. And it just be like, therapy only took me so far. So I feel like we was the opposite for a lot of years. You started with God first.
For sure.
And now you probably thinking about maybe I could go to therapy versus me. I started with this therapeutic journey and I'm like, it taught me a lot of skills. It brought me a lot of insight. But I was raised in the church. Like there was
me too.
A time period where I was in church 3-4 days a week. Wednesday, I'm at Bible study. Thursday, I'm at choir rehearsal. If it was rehearsal or anything to be an usher, because I was an usher, I was on the men's ministry. On Sunday, I'm at Bible school early in the morning. If we got multiple services, I'm there from literally 9 o'clock till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. In the summertime, I'm going to retreats. Like that was my life for a lot of years. So like to go spiritually dry for a great period of time, it was always like something was missing from my life. So now I feel like to elevate to the man that I hope to become and the man that I hope to model within my household for my son, I can't do that absent of God. And there's no amount of work that I do to become more reflective, to like heal from trauma. It's no amount of work that I do that's going to absolve me of needing God's presence in my life. So I feel like you just can't do one without the other as a Christian. Like you need God and you also need therapy as well.
That's real. And even at a transparent moment, I could say I'm not always there like with my relationship with God. I believe in him, but I can say like I don't pray every day. I don't read like the Bible, and it's not something that I'm like glorifying, but it's also like me saying like this is where I am.
This is where you are.
Yes, and it's not that I'm like trying to remain here, but I'm also like, okay, this is where I am. It's self-reflection, it's accountability. It's like I know that I have to start reading more. But I do think that sometimes I put like not intentionally, but being that like I have goals and stuff like that I want to achieve, I sometimes like may start working harder and like putting client work and all of that stuff above, like before God, and not praying before I go into a room or different things like that. Like, but I realized that definitely the evolution of life isn't to like be perfect the whole time or have like a perfect balance. Like, it's to get that way over time.
It's literally the opposite.
Yeah, it's literally the whole opposite of everything that you expect.
That's so funny.
And so I'm just like, bro, like, yeah, I'm here, but I just know that over time, like, things are gonna continue to like evolve.
Yeah.
The same way it evolved for me to get out of depression. Like, my mind for depression, I don't even think about having suicidal thoughts or having any thoughts about like, oh, I just don't want to be here or anything like that. Like, I don't have any of those thoughts. So the fact that my mind has remained at peace for 2 years, even if I have stressful moments, I'm like, go back to God, or like have that gratitude, be appreciative of where you are. So it's like, yes, I may not read my Bible every day. Yes, I may not, when I say I don't pray, I may not intentionally pray where like my time is like devoted right in God. Like, when I wake up, I do say like, thank you, God, for waking me up for another 24 hours. Or like, if I'm about to go in somewhere, I'm like, God, like, protect me, make sure that, you know,
exactly what you're saying.
Those, like those,
creating that space.
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. And so like, subconsciously, or not by default, I should say, me working and stuff like that, it could be like, that can become my idol, because what you focus on the most, that's what becomes your idol. So like, sometimes it can be an idol for me to just work and like do things my way or stuff like that. And I learn the hard way sometimes, but it's just like, this is where I am, and I'm learning through it. Like, I'm not gonna shy away from my faith, but I'm also not gonna sit here and like put on the front that like I'm like this perfect Christian that just, you know, just live life once every single day in the perfect way.
That was heavy, bro. And it's crazy because like, when I was at Neo's Circle CEO event on Thursday, one of my homies, he's a DJ. Shout out to E-Dub. He asked me like, basically something along the lines of like, do I think God would approve me being in those type of spaces?
Yeah.
And I was like, I literally said what you just said in a different way, verbatim, but I was like, bro, I'm at a point in my life where like, I'm on this new path with God where I like rededicated my life to Him. And I was like, so much of my childhood and my dealings with Christianity was like forced. Like, all of the things that I named that I just was a part of, I can't say that I always opted to be in those spaces. It was just something that was instilled in me growing up in a Christian household and being raised by my grandmom. She was always at church. So as a kid, I had to be at church.
For sure.
Being raised under her household. And if I didn't want to be at church, something else was going to happen. That belt was probably going to touch my behind. But basically, I was telling him that like, a lot of my relationship with God growing up when I was younger was marked by like paranoia, but also like this feeling of like I was always being chastised or like just seen as like not worthy or like not enough in God, because like my grandma, she was so strict and so stern, and I feel like a lot of elders are like, if you do this, you need to repent. If you do that, you need to repent.
For sure.
And the tone of like a lot of like Baptist and like Methodist Christian churches is like, you going to the club on Saturday, showing up to church on Sunday. So like they'll literally like condemn you for the pulpit.
Yeah, for sure.
And because I'm such a reflective person, even as a child, I would feel like, oh, I just slipped up and cursed, I need to repent. Oh, I just did this, like I need to repent. And it made me feel like Christianity was not something that like, when I would see people like praising and shouting at church, I'm like, how do y'all reach this level of like joy or like fulfillment in Christianity when it feels so like stringent? It feels so like forced. And I was telling him like, bro, I don't want to like feel like that anymore. So I'm like, just because I've like rededicated my life to God and I'm reading my Bible more than ever. I'm going to church almost every Sunday, but it's not going to be like this just quick turnaround. Like no change happens overnight.
For sure.
They say it take like 20 something days on average to make or break a habit. And I was like, I'm just like, I'm not looking for instant gratification in God. I'm not looking for onlookers to approve my relationship with God. I'm like, this relationship is for me. And God knows my heart. He knows my convictions. He knows the work that I'm putting in to develop this relationship with Him. So that's all that matters. And I was like, I think it's important to know yourself and then to know yourself through God.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, just because you're in certain places, that don't mean that you got to do and be what everybody else is.
Yeah, for sure.
You could be at a networking event and be like, I'm going to drink water. I'm going to drink cranberry juice or whatever the case may be. Or like, we know right from wrong. So I think repentance is definitely like really important. But my journey with God is not marked by trying to be a perfect Christian. It's looking at areas of my life, and right now as a father, it's certain areas that I'm like really focused on, and I'm gonna make those priority right now. Like I'm gonna chip away at these certain behaviors, and once I feel like I'm at a good place with them, it's gonna be the next thing as a Christian. Like I know a Christian man doesn't do this or like have these ideals or behavior. Let me chip away at that, and that's how I'm basing my walk with God. I'm not looking at you to be like, this is not of God. You're not supposed to be doing this. So like,
I be struggling with that sometimes too, because like with the podcast, like we kind of unintentionally branded ourselves as a Christian podcast.
I always thought y'all were a Christian podcast,
but we weren't. It started off. It was supposed to be like a business and a life kind of thing as a young adult, but it's like we all believe in God. I grew up in the church. Yanni, she has a Christian streetwear brand. Jada, she began to build a relationship with God, and like that guided her with her clothing brand. So like we all have our own walk with God, and so it kind of just poured out through the podcast. And so with that, like with Growing Pains having that image and that brand, it's like it's sometimes it's a struggle because people are looking at you and they're like, oh, I thought you were this or I thought you were that, and I'm just like, oh, well, I'm not Yanni, I'm not Jada, I'm on my own path. So if I play a secular song, I love music. So like I listen to rap music, I listen to R&B. That's considered secular music, anything that's not glorifying God. So with that, I'm like, okay, I know that I have convictions about certain things. I have conviction about cursing or lusting or masturbation, any of those things. I have conviction about those things, and I'm working on it. I'm being intentional about like, okay, if you backslide, how can you do it differently the next time? How can you go longer without having to backslide again? You know what I'm saying? But the things that, as you said, like your focus is on working on the character traits of like being a better dad. My things right now, being that I don't have any children, being that I don't have a wife or anything, my thing right now is like, how can you be more integral? How can you be more intentional about showing up and not lying to yourself and saying, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, or, oh, I'm going to do this, or committing to things and over promising and then under delivering. And so like, those are the things that I'm trying to work on. Those are the things that I'm really praying to God to. And I'm like, I really need your help right now. You feel me? So I'm like, dang, you know, that's what I'm working on right now. So if I happen to curse or if I happen to do certain things that's not of God or is sin, I'm just like, okay, I understand and I do respect God and I do appreciate him. But also I'm like, I'm just on the journey. Like I got to take it day by day. You feel me?
That's not an excuse. Like that could sound like an excuse to some people, but
it does.
Just being real. And one thing that my mentor told me like the other day, and I loved it because it's just so crazy how like it's so much stuff in scripture, and I'm learning that as like I go back to church. And like when I was a younger kid, like I would be in church, but I didn't necessarily understand the word. I would just be going religiously. But now I'm actually able to take the scripture and like apply it to my life. So like one thing that my mentor said to me was that the Bible says to be in the world but not of the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically that means like, you know, like what it means to practice God's teachings and honor him. So we know right from wrong, just in a nutshell. So like God was in a lot of places that, you know, maybe people felt like he shouldn't have been in, or like with people that people probably felt like he was too good for it. Like people literally, like the Bible literally talks about God being with like thieves or even like prostitutes and things like that, and God was like ministering to those people. So it's like if God could be in those places and ministering to those people, bringing them closer to him, like what difference am I? And that's not me like misusing the Bible or like trying to misquote things to fit like my narrative. It's like I think the scripture says exactly what it means, like to be in the world but not of the world. So it's not like, oh, now I just can't be here or do all of these things. It's like remembering who you are and remembering who you are in God. I think that's just the best way to put it.
For sure. So. And that's why, like, even for me, I noticed that, like, with any of the areas that I lack or any of the struggles that I may, like, go through, it's like, okay, yes, I'm not like this perfect Christian, but also what benefit does it do for like God or anyone if like I am this perfect Christian and I'm in the church and I'm like showing people, oh, look at me, like I'm perfect. What benefit does it do to God or bring, like, it doesn't bring anybody back to him for the people that are still struggling with their walk or like struggling with their faith. Yeah, like me showing my testimony and showing like my journey, the fact that I even, before, there used to be a time where I wouldn't even be sitting here talking about God on camera or even posting about it on social media. I would feel embarrassed. And yeah, like now I don't have that embarrassment to talk about God or glorify him or show him like this. I'm appreciative for the things that you do, because it's not just me doing it. I'm not doing it off of my own will. Like, you are instilling the gifts that I have. You know what I'm saying? You're planting the seeds and you're putting me in the rooms before I'm even actually in them. You're putting my names in the room before I'm actually in it. So definitely, like, I just look at it like my testimony is my testimony, and I gotta live my truth like the way that I do. And so I can't really rush the process or be like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go based off of somebody else's faith. Like, faith, you have to have, when you have hope and when you have faith, it's like the unforeseen. Like, you don't know what's to come next. You just have faith that whatever is to come is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, where it says, like, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Like, do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will with all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Like, that's like a scripture that really resided in me, because as you said, like, when you were in church, for me, I wasn't forced to go. It was more so like I was just always around adults. So like, I'm like, oh, I want to go where y'all going. And my aunts, my granddad, and my cousins and stuff, they were all going to church on Sunday. So I'm like, okay, I want to go. I wanted to be with my family. So that's really why I was going, because I was like, I'm a family person. So I'm like, I want to be with my family. And so, yeah, like, going to church, it's like I didn't necessarily know exactly what they were saying, but I understood. And it's crazy because I at that time, I only experienced so much life. But I experienced, like, some of the things that they were saying and, like, the principles of life of what they were talking about. I was able to dissect it, and I wouldn't be able to refute it, like, back out to them, but I would be able to interpret what they're saying and, like, understand. So, like, yeah, I just feel like my walk with God is, like, gonna be my walk, and, like, I'm no longer living at a place where I'm like, okay, I can't curse on camera, but I'm a curse behind the scenes. It's like, no, if I slip up and I curse, it's like I'm apologetic about it and I need to repent about it, but I'm not about to sit here and condemn myself. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between condemnation and conviction. Is conviction even a word? I don't know, but we gotta say it's a word. It sounds like it. But like
condemnation.
Condemnation, yes, that's what the word that I was looking for. Thank you. With condemnation and conviction, those are two different things. When you're condemned, like, you are scolded in that moment. Like, somebody's scolding you, somebody's telling you you're doing this wrong. When you're feeling conviction, it's a sense of relief. It's a sense of respect. You respect that this is something that I shouldn't be doing, and so how can I be better moving forward? So conviction and condemnation is two totally different things, and it's something that I had to understand, and I'm still learning to understand. You dig what I'm saying? So
for sure,
I feel like that's my take on it.
For sure. Well, bro, I gotta go get my baby, but
for sure.
I've enjoyed this conversation so much, and I think before we wrap up, I got two questions for you. But the first one is, what's next for you, bro? Like, you got the Growing Pains podcast, and it's not even like what's next. Like, you got to have a whole drawn out plan, but I think, like, what do you see for yourself in the coming years and months?
Definitely, I would say a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now would be more so like internal stuff. So, like, definitely I want to work on my business as far as, like, delegation and all of that stuff. And so more stuff will progress over time as I get that together for Royalty Made It. Apartment right now is, like, my focus. And then these shirts, royalties, like, I want to drop these because I want creators to feel like as if they can be whatever it is that they want to be. Like, I want a creator to know that they can pull whatever vision that's in their mind and make it into reality. The life that I live right now, from the podcast, I mentioned to Dave, like, I wanted to start a podcast. That came to life once I moved. You seen the vision board about, like, working with Queen and Clarence and Mod and all of them, and I'm just like, that came to life, you know what I'm saying? So I want creators, like, when they wear the royalties and stuff, to realize, like, oh, like, I can be a visionary. I can be a household brand. I can be whatever in this life that I want to be. And so, like, the royalties is something that I really have to get out. So hopefully by the time this episode release is out, I'm promoting it and stuff like that. And yeah, just pretty much continuing to go with the flow, as you said. Not go with the flow, because where you like, if you just allow life to take you anywhere, then you know you'll end up
just blowing with the wind.
Yeah, you're just gonna be blown with the wind. So definitely not going with the flow, but just being intentional about making true progress in the next coming months and years and stuff like that. So like pretty much a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna be doing is like internal work and just like things that I'm like birthed in that I know I should have been, you know, did.
For sure. And this last question I asked all my guests, bro, like, what is your personal definition of failure?
That's a good question. That joke just stumped me. I was able to speak this whole time. And
it's a simple question too.
Dang, what is my definition of failure? I think my definition of failure is when you quit on yourself. So once you give up on yourself, the world could give up on you, everybody else can give up on you, but you can lie to the world, you can lie to everyone that's around you. But if you lie to yourself, if you tell yourself that you can't do it, then you will believe that you won't be able to do it. And so quitting on yourself and not doing the things, not living a purposeful life, God doesn't want us to live in poverty. God doesn't want us to lack anything. You know what I'm saying? We're his testimony. So why would he want us to live in lack? You feel what I'm saying? So God wants us to live an abundant life. And I know that's what I strive to live. I know that's what I strive to provide for my family. So failure for me is definitely quitting on yourself. Once you quit on yourself, that's the end all be all. And if you don't quit on yourself, it doesn't have to be your end all be all. So that goes back to what I said earlier about having the balls to start, the brains to learn, and the heart to never quit. As long as you don't quit, you're good. You feel me?
That was well said, bro. I couldn't have stated that any better. So I just want to thank you for your time, bro.
For sure. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for this opportunity, for real.
No, thank you. This was
grateful.
a blessing, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Tell the people how they can keep up with you on social media.
For sure. So y'all can follow me at Trevion, and my creative agency is Royalty Made It. We're going to be seeing some more things coming. Like I said, the royalties, all of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, my guy.
For sure. Appreciate you, bro. Good looking.
Investing all our dollars and hoping that freedom reigns. It's hard being us, but the talents cover the pain. Make it to the lead, but we still don't own the game. Way too many souls are tainted behind the fame. The parties in private mansions, they exchange some drinks. Corrupt the things you think. Your life changing a blanket and nothing seems the same. All these curses.